Chapter 692, Feng Xinz Yao. An enormous group of Yao were slowly heading in this direction. It was common to see Yao in the Mo territories, but it was rare to see such a large group of Yao. There were also many high-level Mo guards around the group. Zhuo Mo muttered inside, was this a Yao envoy? The society structure of the Yao and Mo were completely different. The Yao had many large clans, but the Council of Elders were the highest power of the Yao. Among the Mo, the fractions divided everything up, heroes leading their families to rule over an area. It was the first time Zhuo Mo had seen a group of Yao receive such a level of welcome. Buzhou City was part of the land of the Tang family. The Tang family's most famous expert, Tang Chen, ruled multiple Jia with his martial-level power. The Tang family was also a family with a long history. It could be traced back to the Thousand-Year War. The Tang family's style was a peaceful one, and they paid attention to the development of their lands. Due to this, they were respected by the people. Was the Tang family going to ally with the Yao? This thought flashed through Zhuo Mo's mind, but he quickly threw it to the back of his mind. The Tang family allying with the Yao had nothing to do with him. He was just making a short stop in Buzhou City and naturally would not worry too much about this matter. At this time, a sharp presence filled the entire street around him. Zhuo Mo raised his head in surprise. Had someone recognized them? His upper body did not move as he pulled a gui. They both seemed to slide backwards like he was on ice. His movements were relaxed and free. Tseng Lianer followed silently behind him. Her movements seemed more ethereal and eerie. There seemed to be a shadow moving constantly. A hint of shock flashed across Aheng's face. The other's movement was unusually smooth. They were able to immediately break free of his lock. It was rare for him to encounter such an event. But then he snorted. His body suddenly became blurred and divided into 6 copies. The copies turned to 6 gray shadows that leapt at the trio from different directions. It was the first time that Zhuo Mo had encountered such an unique Mo physique, and he couldn't help but feel slight interest. His hand opened slightly, and his 5 fingers danced at an unique rhythm. A strong suction formed at his palm. One of the gray shadows was trapped by the suction force and immediately became unable to move. Collection art was not a high-level Yao art, but it had other abilities when used in this situation. Zhuo Mo's Mo skills were first class, his Yao arts second class, and his spells third class. His spells were too weak to face enemies. His Mo skills were the best and was enough to win this fight, but he would lose a chance to train. The gains received from battle was more effective and clearer than usual practice. His Yao arts could be used to fight and also needed to be improved. It was perfect to use now. Seeing Zhuo Mo unexpectedly use Yao arts, Tseng Lianer immediately understood and perceptively did not act. A gui also seemed to understand the situation. She silently allowed Zhuo Mo to pull her and did not attack. For Zhuo Mo, it took almost no thought for a low-level Yao art like collection art to form. The gray shadow that he had caught seemed to be made from a ball of mist. Its figure was very similar to that person, but the features were blurry. While they were lightning fast, Zhuo Mo found that their movements were still slightly stiff. Seeing the collection art was effective, Zhuo Mo's fingers moved. A few more collection arts locked onto the other gray shadows. Once Zhuo Mo's collection art appeared, Aheng frowned. Yao! If this was any other situation, he would not have any misgivings and would directly kill the other. However, the news of Ji Li Yes group arriving in Mo territory was a hot topic. Old news such as the alliance of Yao and Mo were once again mentioned. The Mo were close to the Yao, and it was common for the 2 races to marry. However, compared to the frequently interchange between the people, the attitudes of the governments were not so harmonious. It was just because the 2 had a common enemy that they could stand on the same side regarding major issues. Of course, this was also related to the fact that the Mo were made up of many fractions and lacked a true king. But the furor caused by Ji Li Yes group caused the relationship between Yao and Mo to once again be in the public spotlight. Aheng immediately felt wary at the sudden appearance of a Yao expert at such a sensitive time. The Ji family and the Tang family were usually at peace. The two even encouraged marriages between the families. However, it was frowned upon to kill people in another's jie. If one wasn't careful, it was possible to strain relations between the two sides. In this span of time, the other gray figures had charged. Their movements were slightly stiff, but the murderousness they gave off was not false. At this time, Zhuo Mo's other hand rose and drew out a circle. A silver blinding hoop of light. Hiss crack. The gray shadow seemed to hit a wall of lightning. Countless electrical arcs released, and lightning snakes walked. The lightning immediately swallowed the gray shadows and did not leave anything behind. Aheng's pupils suddenly contracted. Such a powerful Yao art. Sky pole lightning hoop. A bright voice suddenly spoke. Aheng's heart shook even more. He hadn't even detected this person coming so close. He turned his face, and when the other's appearance entered his field of view, he was shocked again. Yao. Who are you? The incomer asked as he looked at Zhuo Mo with curiosity. They say that the sky pole lightning hoop had been lost long ago. I hadn't thought that someone would still know it. So interesting. Zhuo Mo raised his eyes to look at the other and was astounded inside. This person had been silent when approaching, like a ghost. If it wasn't that Zhuo Mo's sixth sense was much stronger than the average person, he would have had a difficult time detecting them. This person was not old. His clothing was tasteful, and it could be seen at a glance that he had status. The other had a sunny smile and seemed friendly. However, Zhuo Mo did not answer. While the other looked harmonious, Zhuo Mo could feel a threat of a chilling presence from the other. This presence was extremely faint and hidden deeply. However, Zhuo Mo's sixth sense was above normal. He was unusually sensitive to dangerous presences. This cold presence gave him an extreme feeling of danger. It was like a snake coiled in the darkness, cold and cruel. Also, this kind of cold cruelty was hidden in that sunny and warm smile. It caused Zhuo Mo's hairs to stand up. Sir is? Aheng showed a smile as he looked thoughtfully at the other. I am Feng Xanz. The youth smiled. Aheng's expression changed. So Sir is Feng Xanz, my apologies for my manners. I hear that among the younger generation, Brother Feng is a leader. His heart was filled with helplessness. The more he didn't want to encounter something, he encountered it. Feng Xinz was the guard leader of Ji Li Yes group and also an expert among the Yao. His power was unfathomable, and Aheng did not have any confidence he would win in a fight. Feng Xinz smiled and said, minuscule abilities like mine cannot be seen in public. What are you two fighting about? How about everyone take a step back for my sake? Aheng's face was smiling. Since Brother Feng said this little brother is no problems. At this time, Zhuo Mo saw the Ji family young master hurrying over and understood what had happened. An imperceptible smile came to the corner of his mouth. This one doesn't have any objections. Feng Xinz was overjoyed. Great. Why don't I have a drink with you too, since we have resolved matters peacefully? The Ji family young master was about to speak when Aheng glanced at him. His cold gaze caused the young master's curses to shrink back into his mouth. A smile once again hung on Aheng's face. Naturally. Feng Xinz turned to look at Zhuo Mo. Zhuo Mo shook his head. My apologies, this one still has matters and not the time. Please pardon me. Finishing, he left with a Gui and Sing Lianer. Feng Xinz's gaze immediately darkened. Aheng saw this, and an imperceptible smile flashed across his lips before disappearing. Brother Feng, let's go and drink until we are drunk. A sunny smile came back onto Feng Xinz's smile. All right. Feng Xinz. Zhuo Mo was sure that he had heard this name somewhere. But no matter how hard he thought about it, he could not remember. He gave up, but he was sure that Feng Xinz was extremely powerful. Suemo noticed that Feng Xinz had come from that Yao group. Right now, Suemo only wanted to cultivate and not get dragged into other matters. Consequently, he had not hesitated in refusing Feng Xinz's invitation. Let's go and see where we can buy White Ridge snake bones. Suemo pushed his thoughts aside and said to Tsing Lianer. Suemo's group went into a few shops and did not have any discoveries. A kind-hearted storekeeper told them honestly that what they sold would not reach the level of the White Ridge snake bones and suggested for them to go the rare articles hall to look. The three followed the shopkeeper's suggestion and went to the rare articles hall. The entrance to the rare articles hall was normal and almost in disrepair. It seemed like an average little store and did not show any of the presence of the best store in Buzhou City. Suemo and Tsing Lianer exchanged a look. Both of them were slightly surprised. But since they had come, Suemo decided to go in to look. When they stepped across the doorway, the scene in front of them changed. Mo weapons of strange shapes hung in the void in front of them. Each Mo weapon had a completely different presence, some warm, some explosive, some cold. These Mo weapons of various styles were arranged in parallel to form a staircase made completely of Mo weapons. Stepping on the stairs, they could clearly feel the unique presence of the Mo weapons under their feet. This feeling was extremely strange. Suemo couldn't help but sigh in shock. Such extravagance. Each of these Mo weapons were general-level Mo weapons. Any of them, if put on the market, would be good things. But in this place, they were just used as stairs for people to step on. Tsing Lianer's eyes immediately lit up. With this staircase, it could be seen just how powerful Rare Articles Hall was. When they walked to the end of the staircase, an old person was already waiting there. Chapter 693, A complete set of White Ridge snake bones. Welcome, please. Are you here to sell or purchase treasures? The old person asked respectfully. Suemo nodded and said directly, Does your store have White Ridge snake bones? White Ridge snake bones. A hint of surprise flashed across the unclear eyes of the old person. He raised his head and said, Our store does have White Ridge snake bones. Please come with me. Finishing, he turned and walked inside. The trio followed behind the old man. The ceiling above their head was like the night sky. Light streaked across like meteors, reflecting on Mo matrices. There were Mo weapons floating in the sky above them like innumerable stars. Threads of various colors fell from the Mo weapons and swayed like a sea of grass. Suemo's thoughts shifted. He reached out a hand to grab a green thread in front of him. When his hand touched the thread of light, one of the Mo weapons above his head lit up and then it appeared in Suemo's palm. Tsing Lianer was extremely interested. She pulled on a silver thread of light. A pair of sickles appeared in her hands. The old person did not hurry them and explained with a smile. This is the Mo weapon firmament of the store. The Mo weapons you are holding are not the real ones, but the presence is the exact same as the real article. You can examine them at your leisure. If you want one of them, you only need to pay the corresponding mabe and it will fly into your hands. Suemo was skilled in Mo matrices. After standing and observing the Mo weapon firmament for a while, he had a general understanding of the mechanism. He smiled slightly and opened his hand. The Mo weapon in his hand turned into a light that flew into the firmament above them. He naturally did not have a desire for the Mo weapons here. A short time later, the old person took the trio to an elegant tea room. In the tea room, a white-faced and beardless middle-aged Mo was idly drinking tea. The middle-aged Mo saw the trio and showed a smile. He motioned with his hand. Please sit. Then he filled 3 cups and handed them over. A pleasing fragrance spread in the tea room. The old person had an intoxicated expression. Seeing this, the middle-aged Mo also handed the old person a cup. The old person was overjoyed and carefully took the teacup. He said hurriedly, Many thanks, Chief Steward. Tsing Lianer suddenly spoke, A pretty good tea, Stone Sprout. The middle-aged Mo showed surprise and joy. I hadn't thought that Mrs. also enjoys tea like me. Greetings. Tsing Lianer took a sip. After savoring it for a moment, she said serenely, I hear that your store has white ridge snake bones. The middle-aged Mo gave a small smile. Yes, this small store has a complete set of white ridge snake bones. Complete set of white ridge snake bones. Tsing Lianer was unable to keep her composure or disguise her joy. The white ridge snake bones were hard to find, and a complete set of white ridge snake bones was much rarer. The middle-aged Mo smiled slightly and said, yes, this set of white ridge snake bones is complete and flawless. Truthfully, it is the first time the store has encountered such a perfect set of white ridge snake bones since it was founded. Name your price, little Mo Gu said with bravado. Trade only. The middle-aged Mo took a sip of tea before saying. Materials of the same level. If it is a Mo weapon, it has to be an Earth Mo weapon. Earth Mo weapon. Swa Mo was slightly shocked. A Earth Mo weapon was just one level below Sky Missouri weapon. In all of the Mo territories, there were just 108 of those. Tsing Lianer's green cicada sword and the previous black-hearted treasure coins had all been Earth Mo weapons. Swa Mo had forged the black-hearted treasure coins into the little Mo treasure cup. If they brought out the green cicada sword, it would undoubtedly expose their identities. Tsing Lianer put down the teacup without changing her expression. She shook her head and said, it is too expensive. It is very expensive, the middle-aged Mo nodded his head and said, but it is worth this price. Tsing Lianer was silent. The other was right. A complete set of white ridge snake bones was also a priceless treasure. She stood and said to Zwa Mo, let's go. Little Mo Gu didn't stand. He turned towards the middle-aged Mo, does your store want Earth Mo weapons, or Earth-level Mo weapons? The middle-aged Mo was slightly surprised. He understood what little Mo Gu was saying. Did the other have Mo weapons that could match Earth Mo weapons? There were 108 Earth Mo weapons and all of them had been observed and their characteristics recorded. It was possible to find information on everyone. Mo weapons that could rival Earth Mo weapons. Had some Mo weapon grandmaster made a new work recently? The middle-aged Mo was puzzled but he still said with a smile, if the level of the Mo weapon can reach the level of an Earth Mo weapon, it is possible. An Earth-level Mo weapon that was not among the ranking of Earth Mo weapons could undoubtedly be sold for a higher price. No one wanted their Mo weapon to be one that other people knew everything about. Zwa Mo stood. Alright, we will return after a few days. Seeing the certainty on Zwa Mo's face, the middle-aged Mo felt some trust. He stood to see them off. This one will respectfully wait for your visit. Leaving the rare artifacts hall, the trio walked on the street. Tsing Lianer serenely spoke, other than the green cicada sword, we do not have any other Earth Mo weapons. Well, just forge one. Zwa Mo's words were filled with great confidence. Forge one. Tsing Lianer was astonished. She had not expected such words. Zwa Mo had not been joking. For a person who was knowledgeable in Mo matrices, skilled in forging, that possessed the Ascension fire, and was wealthy, it was not very difficult to forge a Mo weapon. However, Zwa Mo would have to do all he could to make an Earth Mo weapon. But it wasn't that Zwa Mo didn't have any confidence. He had studied the Blackheart treasure coins and the green carp tongue sword. Naturally, they could not trade the green carp tongue sword. All of the Mo territories knew that Marshal Yu had died by Zwa Mo's hand. If this thing was made public, it would definitely draw a tsunami of attention. The next problem was that Zwa Mo needed to forge an Earth Mo weapon using the materials he had on hand. He had a lot of good things. As the quality of materials increased, their uses became more general. In terms of low-level materials, talismans and Mo weapons used completely different materials. But when it came to the higher grades, the two overlapped. Zwa Mo had a lot of high-level materials, especially what he had taken from Ji Jing's body. Those were all top materials. Zwa Mo also had an advantage. He had large numbers of general-level Mo weapons. In that fight against Marshal Yu, almost all the general-level MO under Marshal Ye's command had been killed. Their MO weapons naturally landed in Zhuo Mo's hand. Other than the MO weapons he had given his soldiers, Zhuo Mo still had a large number of MO weapons. These remaining MO weapons were not of great use to the present Zhuo Mo. He didn't lack Mabe at this time, so there was no point in selling them. Also, the materials that he had to use now were all precious treasures that almost couldn't be bought with Mabe. Zhuo Mo's idea was based on these MO weapons. Before the Thousand-Year War, there had been many MO weapon forging methods, but that were now lost. In Weiss words, it was called craftsmanship. Wei was experienced and the ultimate authority in this area. He could trace any kind of MO weapon forging method back to the ancient era. Ever since Zhuo Mo took the gravestone oath, Weiss' attitude was so good it was frightening. He was completely different from his previous half-living state. After enjoying the meticulous concern, Zhuo Mo quickly found a nightmare had begun. Wei was actually a chatterbox. Heavens! After knowing this guy for so long, Zhuo Mo only now found that Wei was a chatterbox. Even Pu Yao, who ghosts and monsters avoided, chose the path of avoidance when facing the maddening nattering. Zhuo Mo finally understood what it was like to be haunted. Azua, you want to use the weapon layering craftsmanship? This idea is good. However, I'm not sure about many of the details. It has been too long. You need to try it yourself. Oh, I remember. I've never introduced the history of the weapon layering craftsmanship to you. Yeah, I've actually missed such an important matter. I'm old, my memory is failing. Oh, speaking of the weapon layering craftsmanship, I have to start from 35,000 years ago. At that time, Zhuo Mo felt as though a bunch of flies were buzzing around him. So terrifying. Stop! Zhuo Mo yelled at Wei. Wei immediately closed his mouth. His eyes were wide and his expression innocent. Zhuo Mo reflexively rubbed his head. He knew that ever since he had swore the gravestone oath, there was a connection between him and Wei. All of Wei's hidden personality was now exposed. Calmed down, Zhuo Mo started to think. He did plan on using the weapon layering craftsmanship. This was the best choice at the moment. The weapon layering craftsmanship was to layer many MO weapons to forge one MO weapon. Zhuo Mo had learned of craftsmanship methods that had been lost after the Thousand-Year War from Wei. The quality of the MO weapons he had was very good. If he used the weapon layering craftsmanship, and he was lucky, he might obtain an Earth MO weapon. However, while Wei had done some MO weapon forging, he was not a proper MO weapon forger. Zhuo Mo had to explore many things by himself. Fortunately, there were MO weapon pools in Buzhou City specifically for forging MO weapons. The forging of talismans mostly used fire, so what resulted were all kinds of cauldrons. Forging MO weapons occurred in MO weapon pools. Buzhou City had an underground nether river that was very suitable for forging MO weapons. Most of the MO weapon pools were constructed by the underground nether river. The underground nether river was silent. It was about 20 li wide and spectacular to see. The river water of the underground nether river was as sticky as glue, black yet clear, and silent as it flowed. When one walked along the river, there were MO weapon pools of various sizes along the banks that seemed to stretch out endlessly. There were also countless caverns that had been dug out along the banks. People frequently used MO skills to guide the water into their caves. The lower the cave was, the more MO weapon pool water there was, and the better the quality. It was also more expensive. The caverns higher up were much cheaper and it required people to get their own water. There were two kinds of MO weapon pools here. One kind was the MO weapon pools owned by the local prominent families. These MO weapon pools were not open to the outside and were private property of these families. The other kind of MO weapon pools were open to everyone. Anyone that could pay the mabe could use them. These MO weapon pools were managed by the Tang family. An old male MO came up. He was wearing the insignia of the Tang family. Is there something you need? I need a MO weapon pool, Zwa Mo said. What quality? The other asked. The highest quality, Zwa Mo said without hesitation. The old man was slightly surprised. The highest quality MO weapon pools wasn't just very expensive to use, the water was turbulent and abundant. If one did not have enough power, they would not be able to control the power. Was this person a famous MO weapon master? Chapter 694 Weapon Layering Craftsmanship. He rented a MO weapon pool. The chief steward was slightly surprised. The trio that visited the other day had attracted his interest and he had ordered his subordinates to pay attention to their movements. Yes, they rented the Heaven Tier MO weapon pool. The subordinate had investigated thoroughly and hurried back to report. Heaven Tier. The middle-aged MO stilled. Of course he knew what this meant. Only those with some skill would dare to rent a Heaven Tier MO weapon pool. As the highest grade of MO weapon pool in Buzhou City, it was expensive to rent. The volume of water was astounding, and it was so difficult to control that almost nobody used it. Was there a MO weapon master among them? The face of the average-looking youth flashed across the mind of the middle-aged MO, but he suddenly realized that, no matter how hard he thought back, he could not remember the details of the youth's appearance. The other two females were also so ordinary that he could not remember them. He was experienced and he immediately realized the trio had probably disguised themselves. But his thoughts did not linger on the question. There were many people in these chaotic times that did not like others knowing their identities. Those with power always had their own eccentricities. What he cared about were MO weapon masters, especially powerful MO weapon masters. Any strong MO weapon master meant an endless and steady profit for a business. MO weapon masters were a kind of resource, and a powerful MO weapon master was a resource that had to be fought over. Thinking about the youth's cool and confident expression, the middle-aged MO's heart reflexively jumped. Earth-level MO weapon. If he could really forge one. The mind of the middle-aged MO, which he always prided himself on being unaffected by anything, was immediately disturbed. Pay close attention, I need to know all the details. Do not be afraid of spending money, understand? It was rare that the middle-aged MO tone was so serious. Yes. This subordinate understands. In Zhuo Mo's view, of the three great cultivation systems, for forging, he had to admit that the Shouja far surpassed the other two races. Seal scripts were a vast and complex field that Yao and MO could not compare to. In comparison, while MO matrices were their own system, they were not as well developed as seal scripts. But even so, those in the MO territories that understood MO matrices were considered well-learned and were few in number. This was related to the attitude of MO towards their MO weapons. The forging methods of MO weapons were usually simple and crude, but there was something that the Shouja could not rival them in: materials. The materials that were used in MO weapons were usually a part of the MO themselves, for example, a feather, or nails. So while MO weapons were crudely made, but after being tempered daily and affinity granted by having come from a part of the owner's body, they were as a literal extension of their own bodies. However, those were just average MO weapons. Top-level MO weapons such as the Earth MO weapons were not so easy to make. Of the 108 Earth MO weapons, other than the extremely rare few that had been forged by the user, the great majority were forged by MO weapon masters. For MO weapon masters, forging an Earth-level MO weapon was the highest goal of their lifetime. The makers of the 12 Sky Missouri weapons were the most accomplished MO weapon masters of their era, and the best MO weapon masters in MO history. Each of their names represented a legend. In Zhuo Mo's view, forging Earth-level MO weapons were not a very difficult matter. He only needed the necessary materials. Even if he didn't have any, he could still accomplish it through unorthodox methods such as using weapon layering. But the creation of Sky Missouri weapons was out of the range of his abilities. There were many MO weapon masters gathered around the MO weapon pools of Buzhou City. Many people stayed here for many years to forge MO weapons. This city quarter had, long ago, developed into an area for MO weapon masters and provided a large group of residents a way to make a living. meaning it was possible to buy most common materials from these suppliers. This saved Mo a lot of time. After spending 2 million Mo Bay on all kinds of materials, Mo had finished his preparations. The monthly rent for the Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool was about 500,000 Mo Bay. In other words, without even starting, Mo had paid 2.5 million in Mo Bay. The wealthy Mo did not feel anything regarding the expense. 2.5 million Mo Bay was just the price of an above-average general-level Mo weapon. He had a whole pile of general-level Mo weapons in his ring. This relatively small expenditure was not enough to make him feel pain. But while he did not feel pain, it did not mean that other people did not feel pain. The Mo weapon masters around the underground Nether River quickly learned that there was someone who had come and spent 2 million on materials in one go. When they heard that this person had also rented the Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool, it attracted their attention. There were two guesses about this person. Either this person was a wastrel or he was someone accomplished. Mo did not have the idle time to listen to the gossip. His time was tight. The Sky Shark would only stay here for a few days. If he didn't have the weapon layering craftsmanship up his sleeve, and that the complete set of White Ridge snake bones being so important to Tsing Lianer, Mo definitely would not waste his time on this. But since he had started, he would naturally do his best. Waste was not a word in little Mo guess vocabulary. Tsing Lianer and Agui stood guard outside the Mo weapon pool to prevent others from disturbing Mo. The Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool was about half a mu large. The thick and black pool water flowed in from the underground Nether River and formed a natural whirlpool in the pool. The whirlpool spun at a stunning speed like thousands of horses racing. A thick, dark, and cold presence emanated from it. Those with slightly weaker constitutions would feel cold all over, and would suffer internal injuries if exposed for long periods of time. But Mo's Mo physique was young and domineering, so he didn't feel any discomfort at all. He made a circle around the Mo weapon pool and nodded in satisfaction. The river water of the underground Nether River was pure and clean in attribute. There were large amounts of Mo matrices set up around the Heaven Tier Mo weapon pool. The vast amount of water would be able to completely wash and temper the materials. When he thought of this, Mo added many new Mo matrices on the foundation of the original Mo matrices. The roaring whirlpool suddenly became quiet. However, the center of the whirlpool deepened and ripples spread from the center of the whirlpool. Mo started to throw materials into the Mo weapon pool. The black yet clear water started to become opaque. The whirlpool seemed to be able to swallow everything. The materials he threw in disappeared without a trace. When the last article was thrown into the water, the pool water actually became a dark red. The dark red whirlpool was like an enormous blood eye continuously spinning and would cause people to focus their attention on it. Mo closed his eyes. A general-level Mo weapon appeared on his hand. This was a copper spear that flashed with a blue light that would shock people's souls. Mo threw the little copper spear into the dark red whirlpool. 11 general-level Mo weapons were thrown in a stream into the Mo weapon pool. The dark red whirlpool became even more red until it became the color of blood. When the last general-level Mo weapon was thrown into the Mo weapon pool, the moving whirlpool suddenly stopped. Mo did not dare to be careless. Multicolored lights flashed on his hands. As his fingers changed, lights shot into the Mo weapon pool. If Shouja skilled in forging saw this, they would gape at everything that was happening here. Mo was actually using the methods of talisman forging. Yes, Mo was using the methods for forging talismans. However, what he used was different from the average talisman forging methods. The lights that lit up on his hands were not spells but Mo matrices. In other words, he was using methods of seal formations on Mo matrices. This took 12 hours. Even a person as resilient as Mo showed slight exhaustion. 12 hours passed. Pop splish, pop splish. The blood-like Mo weapon pool seemed to be boiling and bubbles surfaced and popped. Mo's attention was focused and he did not dare to relax at all. The blood-red MO weapon pool by his feet was quickly becoming orange, and he could see the MO weapons at the bottom of the pool. However, each MO weapon was now a size smaller than it had been before, while the light they gave off was even brighter than before. After the cleansing and tempering of the MO weapon pool, all of the impurities had been washed away and they were even higher in quality. The bright MO matrices flowed on the surface of these objects. Swa Mo released a breath. Up until now, he had not made a mistake. There were 12 general-level MO weapons in the pool. They stood upright in the water. Swa Mo did not immediately start the next step but instead sat down in the lotus position to meditate. 6 hours later, he opened his eyes. The exhaustion on his face had disappeared. His eyes flashed. He had recovered to his peak condition. He suddenly raised his hands. One of the MO weapons at the bottom of the MO weapon pool shook. An extremely minuscule ripple appeared on the smooth mirror-like surface of the pool. That MO weapon slowly melted. 1 hour later, it had turned into a pile of metal liquid with countless MO matrices flowing on the surface. Then another MO weapon flew over. This metal liquid seemed to come alive and wrapped around the incoming MO weapon. Then the bright red metal water seemed to slowly and persistently swallow the other MO weapon like a monster. An hour later, the metal water was twice as big and the MO matrices on its surface had turned brighter and even more complex. Then it started to consume another MO weapon. Time slowly flowed by like this. The pool water of the MO weapon pool slowly became clear and glittering. Any small speck of water seemed to be attracted by an invisible force. It rose up from the MO weapon pool. Then, mist started to form on top of the pool. The mist seemed to be alive and started to merge together. The combined mist balls slowly danced on top of the pool like a dragon. It became more and more nimble and its presence continued to increase. What Swa Mo did not know was that an astounding transformation was happening to the underground nether river outside of his MO weapon pool. MO weapon master after MO weapon master continued to fly out of their MO weapon pools. There were numerous MO weapon masters that were floating above the banks of the underground nether river. They were staring in shock at the vast surface of the underground nether river. Chapter 695, The presence of Earth-level MO weapon. Streaks of blood-colored water rose in the vast and serene surface of the river. In a flash, the clear black color was completely overtaken by blood red. The calm surface also became restless and turbulent as though there was a terrifying monster hidden underneath the surface of the river. The waves that rose gradually became higher and higher, and crashed against the shores. The MO weapon masters floating above the river had never seen the underground nether river like this. All of them had panicked expressions. Look! Over there! Suddenly, a MO weapon master with keen eyes pointed at a MO weapon pool and shouted in shock. He attracted the attention of everyone else. They all turned to look in the direction A was pointing. Hiss! Simultaneous inhales sounded above the river. Thick black clouds had gathered above a MO weapon pool. The underground nether river was 30 li under the ground. How could clouds form from the forging? But the thick clouds truly appeared in front of them. Boom om om. Suddenly, deep thunder sounded from within the clouds. The MO weapon masters above the river stared at each other. There was nothing dangerous from the sound of the thunder, but they all knew what this meant. Tales of it had been passed down from a long time ago that when a great MO weapon appeared, it would cause a worldly apparition. What was happening right now was undoubtedly. It's the Heaven Tier Pool. It's the Heaven Tier Pool, another MO weapon master shouted. It's him. So it's him. The MO weapon masters all descended into noise. That mysterious person who had spent 2.5 million MO Bay and rented the Heaven Tier MO weapon pool. He had been the topic of discussion before. How could they not be shocked when they saw that the MO weapon pool was causing all this noise was the Heaven Tier pool? Boom om om. The roars of thunder became more frequent. It was possible to see lightning flash among the thick cloud layer. At this time, beads of blood slowly rose from the underground nether pool. Each blood bead was glowing and perfect. It was extremely stunning to see the dense layer of blood beads floating above the vast surface of the river. These blood beads were of various sizes, but all of them were perfectly round. Detail-minded MO weapon masters immediately noticed that as the beads of blood rose, the underground nether river that had become blood-colored was recovering its original color. Gradually the surface of the river recovered to its usual calm until there was no tinge of blood in the water. These blood beads. Just as everyone was both puzzled and shocked, the blood beads floating above the river suddenly flew together towards the heaven-tier MO weapon pool. Almost at the same time, a great blinding bolt of lightning lit up the cloud and illuminated the underground nether river. An unforgettable scene fell into everyone's field of view. In this moment, they unconsciously stopped breathing. The sky full of blood beads drew out bright bloody arrows in the air. The bloody arrows were like water and carved up the air above the river. All of the blood arrows pointed towards the heaven-tier MO weapon pool. There were so many it stole their breath. When the last blood bead entered the heaven-tier MO weapon pool, a blood-colored pillar of light thrust through the clouds like a sword. Boom om om. The earth seemed to be trembling and vibrating violently. All of them gaped at this blood-colored light pierced the sky like a sword dozens of zhang thick. Heavens! The sword of light actually thrust through the rock and pierced the sky above their heads. 30 li. That pool was 30 li under the ground. The spectacular soul-shaking scene caused all of the underground nether pool to lose their power of speech and become completely silent. And at this time, Buzhou City was in a furor. The enormous blood-colored sword of light suddenly erupted from the earth and charged into the clouds. It could be seen from far away. Only someone that was blind could not see it. Gliu looked at Feng Xinz, who appeared idle and relaxed. She said coolly, "You seem to have free time." "What, you didn't go out to drink today?" Feng Xinz roared with laughter. "I have to rest occasionally. Just don't forget our mission." Gliu smiled coldly. "We still haven't found Xiao Mo Gu yet. Don't be impatient." Feng Xinz waved his hand. "Don't be impatient." Gliu's voice suddenly rose. Anger showed on her peerlessly beautiful face. "You're telling me not to be impatient? How many days has it been? Didn't the intelligence say that Xiao Mo Gu is definitely taking this route? How come we haven't encountered him until now?" Feng Xinz felt a slight headache. He knew that Gliu disliked this mission very much. He could only comfort, there is no use in being impatient. This is the MO territories, not the Yao realms. So we are just waiting like this. Gliu looked hard to Feng Xinz and said. Feng Xinz was slightly displeased but did not show it in his expression. "It would be best if you had a solution. What about those three? Weren't you suspicious of them?" Gliu changed the topic. Feng Xinz did suspect that Zhuo Mo's trio was Xiao Mo guest group. While the appearance was different, but the two women traveled with the man and fit the descriptions. That day, Zhuo Mo had also used Yao arts. Feng Xinz knew that Xiao Mo Gu was skilled in Yao arts. Was a person that could beat a prison-breaking battle someone that could only be described as skilled in Yao arts? How could Feng Xinz not suspect someone that fit the description so well at such a critical time? Yet what had happened later surprised Feng Xinz. The trio first went to the rare artifacts hall and then to the underground nether river. Feng Xinz even knew that they had rented the heaven-tier MO weapon pool and spent 2.5 million MO Bei. All the signs indicated that this person was a MO weapon master, and a skilled one at that. Feng Xinz was slightly depressed but did not show it. He is a probable suspect. His Yao art skill is very high. While he is making MO weapons, it might be a kind of disguise. Disguise? Gliu snorted. Why does he have to disguise himself? Feng Xinz was silent. This was also something that Feng Xinz did not understand. Xiao Mo had a great reputation in the Mo territories and had 2 top-level generals in his command. The Mo territories factions didn't dare to offend him, and even the Council of Elders' opinion was that Xiao Mo's faction was one of the strongest. In a situation like this, Xiao Mo didn't need to hide himself. No one would dare to provoke him. Just at this time, a vast and intimidating presence suddenly shot into the sky suddenly. Feng Xian's expression changed slightly. Such a powerful presence. His mind moved and his figure disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared in the sky. He saw the straight pillar of blood light that pierced the sky and inhaled suddenly. His eyes even became dazed for a brief moment. Earth Mo weapon. These 3 words flashed through his mind. Feng Xianzi was one of the most accomplished geniuses among the younger Yao generation. He had been educated by an orthodox Yao art house, and his knowledge was something that the average Yao did not have. Without any hesitation, he judged the origin of this terrifying presence. Only Earth Mo weapons could have such a terrifying presence. He had once heard that Xiao Mo had a Sky Missouri weapon, the infamous anti-dragon claw. However, that was just a rumor and he had not seen it with his own eyes. But he had experienced the presence of an Earth Mo weapon before. The unique presence of an Earth Mo weapon that filled the air and seemed to take over the world was suffocating. Earth Mo weapon, it really was an Earth Mo weapon. Had someone forged an Earth Mo weapon? Feng Xianzi looked in disbelief at the blood-colored pillar of light that connected earth and sky. When the bloody pillar of light erupted out of the earth, the expression of the middle-aged Mo that was idly drinking tea inside the rare artifacts hall changed. His body suddenly disappeared from his spot. Earth Mo weapon. When he saw the bloody pillar of light that thrust into the sky, he shouted in shock. From his experience of interacting with countless Mo weapons, he recognized it at first glance of the bloody pillar of light. He was thoroughly familiar with all 108 Earth Mo weapons. While he had not seen them all in person, he knew the unique traits and presence of each Earth Mo weapon. He had actually forged an Earth Mo weapon. Up until now, Tseng Lianer's expression was slightly dazed. This was an Earth Mo weapon. She possessed the green carp tongue sword. She was not skilled with swords, so she had been surprised when Zhua Mo had given the green carp tongue sword to her so easily. She treasured the green carp tongue sword. Because this was an Earth Mo weapon. Only 108 Earth Mo weapons had ever existed in the Mo territories. When she heard the quote from the Rare Artifacts Hall, she had given up. It was not because the complete set of White Ridge snake bones was not worth so much, but because it was too expensive. The value of an Earth Mo weapon could not be accounted for using Mo Bay because there had never been an Earth Mo weapon on the market. When the pillar of light had erupted, her mind turned blank. She looked with slight admiration at Ague. From beginning to end, Ague had been unusually calm. The noise hadn't caused her expression to change at all. Suddenly, Ague suddenly raised her head. Her lifeless eyes suddenly lit up with purple energy. Tseng Lianer paused, but she reacted quickly. A sharp light flashed across her eyes as she shouted, "Come out!" A figure appeared like a ghost. "Ha, the little girl is very strong." Before the other finished speaking, Agui's figure disappeared from her spot. She did not hesitate to attack. Tseng Lianer grimaced. Ague had attacked too quickly. While she was pretty, she was not a hesitant person. Her eyes flashed and she attacked as well. They had been together for some time. She knew that Ague was very sensitive to enmity. If the other had attacked immediately, she definitely had detected the other's enmity. However, she did not forget that they could not expose their identities. She did not use Shen power but Mo skills. Her Mo skills were not weak, and had improved greatly after cultivating with Zhua Mo in recent days. Her right hand raised slightly. White Mo matrices appeared on her arm like tattoos. They quickly covered her entire arm. Her fingers were slightly spread as she grabbed at the other. Hiss! A thin but sharp sound of the air breaking was like the hisses of a group of snakes that caused hairs to stand on end. The air rippled. White shadows lashed out like coiled white snakes. The enemy clearly was wary of these white shadows. His figure twisted strangely in the air and he managed to break free of these shadows. But before he could rejoice, he felt a strong feeling of danger. His expression changed slightly. His arms were suddenly shrouded in green light. His body twisted like a braid and his arms went behind his back. Snap! A small sound of a crash. However, it was like he was whipped. His body shook, and an astounding power pierced through the green light on his hand. Before he could react, his vision blurred and his body smashed into the ground. The instant of enormous pain caused his mind to turn blank. An unknown amount of time later, he recovered from his daze. His bones felt like they were about to fall apart and he had no strength. They hadn't killed him. This caused his mind to scatter and be filled with disbelief. The other's attack was strong and unpredictable. He hadn't even managed to survive one move before he lost the ability to fight. When he thought of this, his face flushed. He had always been proud of his own strength, and had never thought. He struggled to climb out of the hole. The attack had crushed him into the ground. If his MO physique was not strong, he would have died just now. Tsing Lianer looked with interest at the other. She had stopped attacking because Ague had stepped back. This surprised her. Ague was usually as wooden as a puppet, but when she started to kill, she never had mercy. It was rare to see her not kill the enemy. Had the other's enmity disappeared? Since Ague had moved back, she was happy to do the same. She knew of Zhuo Mo's intentions. It would be a troublesome matter to kill someone here. This male here was slightly interesting. Zhuo Mo looked at the MO weapon on his hand with excitement. This was a long pike. More accurately, this was a double-bladed pike. The body of the pike seemed to be made from multicolored snakes winding around each other. The body of the snakes were clearly divided into different color patterns. If one counted closely, they would find 10 completely different colors and patterns on the pike. There was a spot of red in the middle of the snake heads that was extremely eye-catching. What was most unique was the 2 snake heads at the ends could become 10 different weapons. Zhuo Mo had used 10 different MO weapons. These 10 transformations were the true expression of Zhuo Mo's skill. The weapon layering craftsmanship could forge Earth MO weapons, but their original attributes would be erased. However, Zhuo Mo had melded together some seal script and MO matrix techniques to successfully keep the unique traits of the 10 MO weapons. He decided to name this the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike. The Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike was the first Earth-level MO weapon that he had forged. There hadn't been any flaws in the entire process. It was so perfect it surpassed his expectations. The power of the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike also surpassed his predictions. Even among the Earth MO weapons, the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike was higher quality. For a moment, he could not bear to sell it. But Zhuo Mo quickly calmed down. He shook his head and laughed. He had gained greatly in this process. He hadn't just learned the weapon layering craftsmanship, he had gained an even greater understanding of forging MO weapons. He also had many new understandings of MO matrices. In the future, he would be able to forge even more powerful MO weapons. Also, he had peerless weapons like the Anti-Dragon Claw and the 3,000 Threads of Worry. He was coveting everything, and may, as a result, lose everything. After thinking, he reorganized what he learned and passed the information back to Cloud Si Jia through Puyao. This was habit he had now developed. Whenever he had new understandings, he would organize them and share them with Golden Crow Camp. He only wanted to make his paltry contribution to Cloud Si Jia. After doing all this, he walked out of the MO weapon pool with the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike. When he walked out, he saw Hua Ruhai, who was furiously trying to ingratiate himself with Tsing Lianer. Tsing Lianer's eyes lit up when she saw Zhuo Mo. A figure flashed out of the corner of the eye. It was Agui suddenly appearing beside Zua Mo. Zua Mo lovingly rubbed Agui's head and said gently, Agui worked hard. Agui's expression was wooden. Zua Mo turned to look at Tsing Lianer and Hua Ru Hai with a questioning gaze. This guy was sneaking around, we found him. Tsing Lianer gave a small smile. Her gaze lingered on the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike. Zua Mo handed the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike to her. When it entered her hand, Tsing Lianer uncontrollably burst out, Earth Mo weapon. She had the green carp tongue sword and was familiar with Earth Mo weapons. When this entered her hand, she made an accurate estimate. While she knew that it would be an Earth Mo weapon from the apparition alone, but she still felt excited when she saw it. She waved it a few times and praised, a good Mo weapon. What is its name? Hua Ru Hai looked with bright eyes at the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike in Tsing Lianer's hand. He was almost drooling. Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike, Zua Mo said with a smile. His body relaxed. A good name. Tsing Lianer smiled and handed the Mo weapon to Zua Mo. Zua Mo suddenly detected countless gazes gathered on him and was slightly surprised. He raised his head and saw there were many people floating in the air above the underground Nether River and the surrounding Mo weapon pools. This was. Before he could react, the entire sky exploded. These people suddenly flew madly in his direction. They fought to be first with excited expressions, shouts coming like a tsunami. Grandmaster! Grandmaster! Grandmaster, accept me! Accept me as a student! The scene became chaotic. Chapter 697, The Domineering Tang Chen. Zua Mo was used to scenes like this. He did not speak and only gave a small smile. A short time later, the noisy crowd quickly quieted. The Mo weapon masters looked in reverence and respect at Zua Mo. At this time, silence was more effective than speech. But he still felt a small headache. He would only stay in Buzhou City for a short while, and forging the Sky Snake 10 manifestation peak was just to trade for the White Ridge snake bones for Tsing Lianer. He hadn't thought that forging an Earth Mo weapon would create such a ruckus. The reason that he had changed his appearance was because he did not want to draw attention to himself and he could reach Nether Springs Jia as fast as possible. It would not be easy to leave after making such a spectacle. These Mo weapon masters that were looking him with fear and reverence were just a small problem. It would not be so easy to get rid of the prestigious families of Buzhou City. Zua Mo had experienced the conduct of the prestigious families before. If he revealed his identity, the other would not dare to do anything, but that way, his tracks would be exposed. What would occur would be endless trouble. It was not a secret that he had Shin power. If people had doubted that Shin power existed before, the Mo gods that had killed the Xian Kong Temple core had displayed the great force of Shin power. Being in possession of a great treasure was a crime. Zua Mo knew this. The trio was not weak. If they secretly moved, they would not encounter any great trouble. The only strong enemies they would likely encounter would be lone experts. If their tracks were exposed, there would be prestigious clans that would use all of the power at this disposal to try to get the Shin power inheritance from him. It definitely would not be a good idea to reveal his identity. Calming down, Zua Mo's mind started to turn furiously. He pushed his voice low to say to Tsing Lianer, "How many people know of the use of the White Ridge snake bones?" Tsing Lianer stilled, but she was smart and immediately understood what Zua Mo meant. She replied in an imperceptible voice, "Few. Even in the clan only my father and I know." Zua Mo was slightly relieved. Their only possible flaw was the White Ridge snake bones. If other people knew the use of the White Ridge snake bones for the White Fang snake Mo, it would be easy to suspect their identities. It was not a secret that he had a female companion that was a White Fang snake Mo. He could only deal with the events as they came. Zua Mo decided as he smiled as usual. Suddenly, the crowd behind shifted. "Congratulations! Congratulations! I had not thought that honored sir would actually forge an Earth-level Mo weapon." The middle-aged Mo had a joyous expression and there was a group of guards behind him. Mo hadn't expected the chief steward of the rare artifacts hall to come directly to the Mo weapon pool. He was slightly surprised but his expression did not change. He said coolly, "All due to Sir's good luck," everything proceeded smoothly. This Earth Mo weapon is called the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike. It can turn into 10 different Mo weapons, each with their own abilities. Finishing, he took out the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike and performed some of the transformations. The Mo weapon masters in the surroundings had never seen a true Earth-level Mo weapon before. They stretched out their necks, their eyes wide in fear they would miss a single detail. When they saw the 10 transformations of the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike, they gave gasps of shock. The middle-aged Mo's gaze was burning hot as he started at the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Spear in Mo's hand. He wanted to take it immediately. As the main steward of Rare Artifacts Hall, he had better judgment than normal people. He had also touched a true Earth Mo weapon before. With just a glance, Her realized that this Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike was better than the Earth Mo weapon he had touched in the past. His gaze became even hotter. However, he was a smart person. He said with a smile, "I have brought the White Ridge snake bones." According to Little Mo guest personality, he would not be himself if he did not take the chance to profit enormously. However, this time, he was in a hurry to leave so he did not haggle. He nodded. "It is yours." The joy on the middle-aged Mo's face increased. The complete set of White Ridge snake bones appeared in front of Mo. Sighs of shock rose in the surroundings again. It was extremely rare to see such a perfect set of White Ridge snake bones. "Please wait." A voice suddenly interrupted. It was Huaru Hai. The urgency on his face had disappeared and was replaced by calmness. "This one is Huaru Hai of North Bay's Hua family. I wish to purchase this Earth Mo weapon." Before he finished speaking, Mo grabbed the White Ridge snake bones and shoved the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike into the hand of the middle-aged Mo. Huaru Hai's expression froze on his face. Was something wrong with this person's herd? Did he not understand this was chance to raise the price? Huaru Hai's blood rushed to his head and he glared angrily at Mo. Mo ignored him. With the White Ridge snake bones in his hand, he gave a look to Tsing Lianer. He grabbed a Gui's hand and quickly proceeded to leave. The middle-aged Mo was still immersed in the joy of obtaining the Earth-level Mo weapon and did not notice the actions of the trio. "Valued guests, you leave in such a hurry. My Tang family has not treated you properly, and slighted such valued guests. This is our crime. This one is Tang Chen and ask for forgiveness from you." A deep and pleasant voice echoed in everyone's ears. The noisy scene suddenly became silent. Everyone had speculated that the Tang family would not stop and watch with a Mo weapon grandmaster represent, but when Tang Chen asked for forgiveness, it caused everyone to be speechless. Then sound spread in a wave. Tang Chen was the present patriarch of the Tang family. He rarely was seen in public. They hadn't thought that he would personally come. This really was giving a great honor to this grandmaster. Mo's expression was the same but he grimaced. Now it would not be easy to leave. The other was polite in speech but his position perfectly blocked off their path. Mo stopped walking and then casually bowed. He said, "I do not dare to accept this. We have matters to attend to and are in a hurry to travel. Mr. Tang, please forgive us." Tang Chen smiled when he heard this. He drawled, "Grandmaster is too polite. Please tell us what the matter is. The Tang family will be honored to serve Grandmaster. It is the good fortunate of Buzhou City that Grandmaster has come here. Please, Grandmaster, stay for a few days, and let us act as good hosts." As expected, a difficult person. Mo cursed this Tang Chen a few hundred times. He wanted to take out little Mo treasure cup and let it go. It seemed from Tang Chen's posture that Mo definitely would not be able to leave today. The other most likely would force them to stay. Mo's mind moved rapidly and decided to pretend to agree. Later, he would find a chance to sneak away. Having decided this, he pretended to be reluctant and replied, "Then we will disturb Patriarch Tang for a few days." Tang Chen gave a satisfied smile. "Grand Master, please." Tang Chen's gaze swept across the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike in the hand of the rare artifact hall chief steward. He praised, "A good Earth MO weapon." The middle-aged MO did not avoid Tang Chen's gaze. He smiled calmly and said, "The MO weapon is good, the Grandmaster is even better." Tang Chen naturally understood the other's double meaning but pretended not to hear it. He smiled slightly and said, "The Tang family coincidentally needs an Earth MO weapon, please, state a price." His tone was cool but an aura of dominance formed. The middle-aged MO was not frightened and said slyly, "This one does not dare to overstep this one's authority. If Darren wants to ask about the price, this one will report to the owner." "You're pretty good." Tang Chen turned and left after saying this. Zhuo Mo showed a thoughtful expression. It seemed that the support behind this rare artifacts hall wasn't weak. The trio were set up in one compound. This was a very large compound in a great environment. It had all the equipment needed and there were more than hundreds of servants. There was only the trio living in this enormous compound. The compound was heavily guarded on the outside. There were more than 20 of the Tang family elite general level and above acting as guards and sentries. There are also many MO matrices set up in the surroundings. It was impossible to set up seal formations like transportation formations. This caused Zhuo Mo to grimace. The other was clearly more experienced. After inviting them to the Tang family, they were put under house arrest. The present situation was no different than house arrest even though the other did not restrict their movement. Zhuo Mo had also learned the domineering style of this Tang family patriarch. It was impossible to sneak away without being detected while under such heavy guard. If they tried to force their way, then all of their secrets would be exposed and the Tang family would pay any price to keep them here. There was great apology and guilt on Xing Lianer's face. If it wasn't for the White Ridge snake bones. Zhuo Mo shook his head and interrupted her. "This isn't your fault. Who would think that the Earth-level MO weapon would cause such a great disturbance?" Zhuo Mo looked at Agui and felt urgency. If they were trapped here, when would they be able to reach Nether Springs Jie? At this time, his mind suddenly moved. He thought of a great idea. "He is going to forge Earth MO weapons?" Tang Chen asked gravely. "Yes. He said that he wants to forge a new Earth MO weapon." The subordinate's tone was filled with joyful surprise. "Earth MO weapon?" Tang Chen's expression changed but then he frowned. He naturally knew of the difficulty in forging an Earth MO weapon. This Grandmaster had just finished forging an Earth MO weapon and now wanted to forge a second one. He felt incredulous at this. Any Earth MO weapon could be said to be the masterpiece of a MO weapon master's life. The great majority of MO weapon Grandmasters only ever forged one Earth MO weapon and those that had forged two could be counted on the fingers. He had never heard of one that had forged three. Tang Chen had not captured Zhuo Mo forcibly because of the Earth MO weapon but was in hope that he would be willing to help take the role of the teacher for the MO weapon camp. Buzhou City was rich in resources, but the skill level of the MO weapon masters was not high. If the level of these MO weapon masters could be increased, the resources could be turned into an endless flow of fine MO weapons. The Tang family's power would increase another level in a short period of time. Had he gotten new ideas from forging the Earth MO weapon last time? While he did not believe that Zhuo Mo could forge a second Earth MO weapon, Tang Chen was naturally happy for Zhuo Mo to throw himself into the forging of MO weapons. "And cooperate fully with him," Tang Chen said without hesitation. "Satisfy his needs to the best of our abilities." "Yes." The subordinate acknowledges. However, his expression turned strange. But Grandmaster had a strange request. Strange request. Tang Chen stilled. Chapter 698, The Unexpected Guest. Buzhou City, Tangwen Hall. This was Buzhou City's grandest banquet in the past few years. It was popular and filled with people. There were many beauties, the fragrance of wine spread around the air, and those that were conversing would exchange greetings with smiles. Anyone of slight fame in and around Buzhou City had received an invitation from the Tang family. There were famed experts from surrounding towns that had rushed over. Other than the Tang family's unrivaled power in this area, many people had come for another person, Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai, 1. It was not strange for a grandmaster that had just forged an Earth-level MO weapon to be pursued to this degree. Then they heard that it had been Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai's request to hold this banquet. Many people had thoughts about the situation. While the Tang family had forcefully stolen Grandmaster away, many people still desired to meet him and form friendly relationships, especially the experts that were strong and lacked MO weapons. They were like flies that smelt meat and all ran over. Feng Xinz had a sunny smile on his face. He had refused the advances of countless beautiful young female MO. He was holding a cup of wine as he sat beside Ji Liyu. You were wrong. Ji Liyu's tone was slightly mocking. He's the new MO weapon grandmaster. Feng Xinz shrugged his shoulders. Maybe Xiao Mo Gu also knows to forge MO weapons. While he teased this, inside, he did not believe his own words. Xiao Mo Gu was a genius. Even Feng Xinz, who was called a genius by others, had to admit the other's astounding talent. But even the most talented person could not be good in all areas. MO weapon creation was a profound and cryptic field. In order to have accomplishments in this area, one needed to accumulate skill and experience. The former was related to talent, and the latter to time. Also, don't you feel it is strange? A MO weapon master that can make an Earth MO weapon should have at least some fame and reputation before this, but no one has heard of his name before. Feng Xinz looked at Zhua Mo in the distance and said to himself. There are many people who leap into fame from obscurity. There is nothing strange about that. Ji Liyu's tone was dismissive. Maybe. Feng Xinz did not continue on the topic. One person forced their way over and said enthusiastically, I am so fortunate to encounter such a beautiful miss today. Miss who is so beautiful that my heart has almost stopped beating. Can you tell me your name? Ji Liyu felt slight disdain, but she did not snow it in her expression. She smiled brightly. Shouldn't you introduce yourself first before asking for someone's name? Ji Liyu was devastatingly beautiful to start with. When she did not smile, she was the brightest jewel at the banquet. When she smiled, the entire banquet hall seemed to light up. The nearby guests were dumbstruck. The young person who stepped forward to speak with her was also stunned. After a while, he recovered. His expression was intoxicated. He appeared as though he would be willing to die if Ji Liyu told him to do so. Oh. I should die for this. I was so impolite. Heavens, this is unforgivable. Please forgive my rudeness. I am Hua Ruhai from the South Bay's Hua family. It is a little place, a little place. Hua Ruhai smiled fawningly. Shocked inhales sounded in the surroundings. South Bay Hua family was a faction that rivaled the Tang family. I am very happy to meet you, Mr. Hua Ruhai. I am Ji Liyu of the Yao. Ji Liyu's smile blossomed and drew the eyes of the males present. Happy, truly happy. Hua Ruhai was so excited he could not speak rationally. Has Mr. Hua Ruhai also come for Grandmaster? Ji Liyu asked curiously. Hua Ruhai nodded repeatedly. Yes, I was coincidentally around the MO weapon pool when Grandmaster completed forging the MO weapon. I saw with my own eyes the worldly apparition when the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike was created. Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike. Yes, it is an outstanding Earth MO weapon, and can change into 10 different MO weapons. It is the first time I have seen such a wondrous Earth MO weapon. It is a pity it ended up in the hands of Rare Artifacts Hall. It will not be easy to buy it from them. Hua Ruhai shook his head and said with regret. Ji Liyu suddenly said, Grandmaster is really young. Are all MO weapon masters so young? Hua Hai smiled and said, actually, I was stunned when I met the Grandmaster for the first time. I hadn't expected him to be about the same age as me. However, people at the Grandmaster level are probably not the same as us mere mortals. That is true. Ji Liu smiled faintly. Her gaze turned to the MO weapon placed at the center of the large hall. That is the Sky Snake 10 Manifestations Pike. N. Hua Hai looked with intoxication at the Sky Snake 10 Manifestations Pike and murmured, perfect. It is absolutely perfect. I haven't never heard of this level of craftsmanship. It is great. Ji Liu stared at the Sky Snake 10 Manifestations Pike. An intimidating yet almost imperceptible presence emanated from the pike and shrouded the entire hall. It would occasionally cause sighs of awe. It really is a perfect masterpiece, the chief steward of Rare Artifacts Hall praised. Many thanks to you for your support. Zuoimo offered his thanks to the other. He had sold the Sky Snake 10 Manifestations Pike to the Rare Artifacts Hall already. They had only brought it out for display because it was Zuoimo's request. It is nothing, the middle-aged Mo smiled and said. Then he said subtly, no matter the occasion, Rare Artifacts Hall is a friend of Grandmaster. He had felt great shock when he had received Zuoimo's request, but he quickly made his decision. While he did not know what the Grandmaster's intentions were, it was undoubtedly the best choice to build a good relationship with the other. Zuoimo raised the wine cup in his hand and toasted the other. Please. Please. The middle-aged Mo responded with a raise of his glass in satisfaction. It was not common to have a Grandmaster owe you a favor. There was an imperceptible smile on Tang Chen's face. Suddenly, a servant said a few words in a low voice by his ear and he nodded. He suddenly stood and raised both of his hands. He said in a loud voice, everyone. The hall immediately quieted down. All gazes turned to focus on Tang Chen. Tang Chen had absolute authority in Buzhou City. Just a few of his words could have great effects on Buzhou City. Tang Chen had a big smile. Today is really a good day, with friends filling the seats, and honored guests that have come. Just as he was speaking, a procession walked in from the door to the hall. The one leading the way was a youth with a faint smile on his face. His handsome face was filled with confidence as he walked with his head high at the front. The crowd unconsciously made way for him. Uncle Tang. The youth bowed towards Tang Chen. Tang Chen laughed and said, come here, let uncle have a look at you. Heroes really come from youth. I really admire a D for having such a son. A D? Low discussion rose in the crowd. Everyone was speculating who this Adi was. Father frequently mentions you, but there has been many matters. He feels very guilty for being unable to visit Uncle Tang these years, Gongzi she said respectfully. 2. Oh. A reminiscing expression came onto Tang Chen's face. He said emotionally, the years have passed so quickly. He then laughed. It is not good to be too emotional on such a good day. Finishing, he turned to face the hall with a hand on the youth. He said in a loud voice, everyone, let me introduce you. This is Marshal Di's son, and my nephew, Shi. The crowd exploded. Everyone knew who Marshal Di was. Oh, of course this meant every other than Zuoimo. Marshal Di was much more famous than Tang Chen and was one of the most famous marshals in the Mo territories. Many people had uncertain expressions. While Tang Chen's authority in Buzhou City was unrivaled, the Tang family was usually low-key and seemed content to be in their area without any ambitions to vie for the world. Due to this, many people thought of the Tang family as just a strong local faction. However, Marshal Di was one of the competitors fighting for domination of the world and one of the strongest marshals. Because of the difference in status of the families, many people were surprised the son of Marshal Di was so respectful towards Tang Chen. To even bow like a junior suggested that the two marshals had a close relationship. Zai's arrival caused the entire banquet to have a turbulent underflow. Many people thought inside that they needed to reassess the strength of the Tang family. This included the Ji family. In the corner, Aheng's eyes flashed and he was uncertain. The Tang family had been a faction that the Ji family had been trying to form relations with for a long time. The Ji family had even hoped that they could use a marriage to ally the two families together. He immediately detected something unusual nearby when Marshal Dis' son Shi had arrived. The young master of the Ji family looked with hate and viciousness at Zhuo Mo. Refocusing, Aheng noticed the expression of his young master and frowned inwardly. The newly arrived Gongzi Shi appeared handsome and accomplished. His family's young master in comparison was not acceptable to be seen in public. Aheng shook his head inside. That Xiao Yunhai was an honored guest of the Tang family now. They did not have any more chances to act. Not speaking of how they wanted to form an alliance with the Tang family, even if they did not care about how the Tang family felt, they could not act against a valued guest of the Tang family while in Buzhou City. He reminded, "Young master, you cannot be rash. So this will be the end of it." The young master gritted his teeth and his voice seemed to bellow out from his chest. Aheng said coolly, "Master will not be happy if you offend the Tang family." The Ji family young master's face paled. When he thought of his father's anger, a chill rose from the bottom of his feet. All of his anger immediately disappeared. After Aheng reminded him of this, he didn't look at his young master again but focused on Gongzi Shi. He decided to stay a while longer and find out why Gongzi Shi had suddenly come to Buzhou City. The Tang family was low-key but their strength could not be underestimated. They would be of great aid to any family they allied with. Aheng knew that the horizontal Jie's Ji family did not have as much influence compared to Marshal Di. However, he hadn't expected that Tang Chen had concealed this relationship so deeply. They had investigated for so long and hadn't even heard a hint of it. The Ji family had started to try to ally with the Tang family from a very long time ago. Tang Chen's attitude had always been ambiguous. So this was the reason behind it. No matter what, he could not let the Tang family and Marshal Di form an alliance. A cold light flashed across Aheng's eyes. With the arrival of the new guests, no one noticed the two people from the Ji family in the corner. Tang Chen's gaze flashed across Gongzi's eyes retinue. When his gaze landed on Li Xiener, he was slightly surprised. However, he did not change expression and brought Gongzi Shi in front of Zhuo Mo, virtuous nephew. "Come, this is Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai. Grandmaster has just forged an Earth Mo weapon, the Sky Snake 10 Manifestations Pike. It is extraordinarily powerful." At this time, the corner of Zhuo Mo's eye imperceptibly twitched. 1. This is another pun based on similar sounds and different characters. Yunhai as in Cloud Sea, and Xiao being the surname. 2. The naming convention here seems to follow that of ancient China. Gongzi means the son of a lord, which later turned to mean gentleman. So Shi is the name, and Gongzi is like a honorific. Chapter 699, Zhuo Mo's goal. His gaze unconsciously moved, and swept across Gongzi's eyes group. His gaze suddenly stopped on a female. For some unknown reason, Zhuo Mo had an eerie sense of familiarity. This female. Zhuo Mo dared to guarantee that he had definitely never seen this female before. He wasn't able to identify anything familiar about her. This included her appearance, her speech and presence. They were all very unfamiliar and Zhuo Mo was sure that he had never seen her before. But that eerie sense of familiarity haunted his mind and could not be swept away. It really was strange. Zhuo Mo suppressed the strange feeling he had. His expression was normal as he gave a small smile and exchanged greetings with Gongzi Shi. "I'm very happy to meet you." Gongzi Shi also had a smile. "On the way here, I heard that Grandmaster had forged an Earth Mo weapon. She itches to see it, and has traveled day and night. This journey was not a waste after meeting Grandmaster." Tang Chen pretended to be angry. "So virtuous nephew has not come to see this old man thought too highly of himself." The people around laughed when they heard this. Tang Chen also had a small smile as he said, "You and Grandmaster are of similar age, and must be able to converse better. Virtuous nephew, you should ask for guidance from Grandmaster, you will definitely benefit." "Uncle is right, Gongzi," she said respectfully. Zuo smiled. Patriarch Tang is too complimentary. He felt strange. This Tang Chen seemed to treat Gongzi Shi like his own nephew. The relationship between the two families was not simple. Gongzi's eyes gaze turned to the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike in the middle of the large hall. He couldn't resist saying, "This is Grandmaster's new work." "This is called the Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike," the middle-aged Mo elegantly took over. "Does Master Shi want to try?" "I can." She showed joy. "Of course." The middle-aged Mo made an ushering motion. "Our hall received the favor of Grandmaster and this Sky Snake 10 manifestation pike. Master can do as you please." Even a blind person could see that the middle-aged Mo was showing goodwill to Gongzi Shi. Gongzi's eyes expression was excited and he was desiring to try. Li Xianer secretly examined Zuo. She was unusually sensitive. Zuo had done his best to make his gaze appear casual, but Li Xianer still detected Zuo's attention focused on her. Her appearance had been disguised. While she still looked pretty, it was several levels below her true appearance. Which of the servants around Gongzi Shi were not beautiful due to his position? Theoretically, she should be very nondescript and mediocre among the group. She hadn't thought that Tang Chen and Xiao Yunhai would notice her. However, she was very curious about Xiao Yunhai. It was not common to see such a young Mo weapon grandmaster. Being from Tianhuan, Li Xianer had seen many kinds of geniuses, but there were only just a rare few that were so accomplished at such an age. As though he noticed her gaze, the young grandmaster gave a small smile at her. This guy was slightly strange. Li Xianer thought inside. Qinghua Shui looked closely at Zuo within the crowd. Her eyes were as bright as stars and she was struggling to keep her calm. It was him. Yes, it was him. Qinghua Shui could not suppress the excitement inside. Almost at first glance, she had recognized Zuo. While the appearance and the name were unfamiliar, Qinghua Shui's eyes had not missed his familiar patterns of speech and movement. She was too familiar with Xiao Mo Gu. She hadn't just fought against him, she had collected almost all the mirages on the market concerning him. This was him. Xiao Mo Gu. The gathering that would have normally found unpleasant and noisy was so beautiful right now. Qinghua Shui's eyes did not move away one bit. "What are you looking at?" one of her fellows poked her. Her friend was called Ning Shiner. She was the most beautiful female of the cadet branch of the Ning family, and due to this, she had been selected. Qinghua Shui seemed to wake up. Her face was aflame. "Oh, you like Xiao Yunhai?" Ning Shiner teased her. While he doesn't look handsome, his future is unlimited as he was able to become a grandmaster at such a young age. "Ha, if you can get him, the Qinghua family probably would be overjoyed." Qinghua Shui quickly recovered her calm. She slanted a look at Ning Shiner and said pointedly, "Weren't you pining after Xiao Mo Gu?" "Xiao Mo Gu?" Ning Shiner said self-mockingly. "I want him. However, with the Yao's greatest beauties standing at the front, we can just rest our hearts and act as secondary characters." The words were tinged with jealousy and some disappointment. Qinghua Shui was silent. She could understand Ning Xiner's feelings. Of the group of people that had come, there was no one other than her that had been willing. In front of Ji Liu, all of them lost in comparison. Everyone felt that if Xiao Mo Gu was going to fall in love, it would be with Ji Liu. They were from the cadet branches of their families, but they had many suitors, including sons of main branches. Who was willing to travel thousands of miles to act as accompaniment? "I feel that Xiao Mo Gu might not fall in love with Miss Ji," Qinghua Shui suddenly said. "Maybe." Ning Shiner twisted her mouth. "If he doesn't fall in love with the most beautiful woman, then there is no hope for us." Qinghua Shui was silent. Ning Shiner tilted her head and suddenly became excited. This Xiao Yunhai is a good target. I feel that the higher-ups will definitely agree to recruit a MO weapon master of such potential on our side. Nice, nice. Then you can go try. Qinhua Shui said sardonically. No, he isn't handsome enough. Ning Shiner pouted. But that Gongzi she is both generous and has presence. His family background is also very good. Qinhua Shui smiled upon hearing this. At this time, Xiao Yunhai suddenly spoke up, everyone. The entire place quieted. People looked over curiously. Everyone present was filled with curiosity about this newly titled MO Weapon Grandmaster, especially since he was so young. Xiao Yunhai had a small smile on his face without any timidity. His voice was clear and loud. First, I would like to thank Patriarch Tang for agreeing to my unreasonable request and hosting such a grand banquet for me. I also must thank the Rare Artifact Hall for their support with today's event. I won't waste words. This time, I have invited everyone because I have something to ask. Grandmaster, please say. If our Rare Artifact Hall can do it, we will not refuse. There was an elegant smile on the middle-aged Mo's face. His voice was not loud but could be heard over the entire hall. Displeasure flashed across Tang Chen's eyes. He was very displeased that Rare Artifacts Hall had taken this opportunity before him. He knew that this was Xiao Yunhai's retaliation for being forced to come to the Tang family. Grandmasters, it was normal for them to have a temper. The smile on his face remained the same. Grandmaster, please say it. The Tang family is not some prestigious family, but there are not many things that we cannot do. His words were said indifferently but the dominance showed. The other people had planned on saying a few words but then perceptively closed their mouths. The entire place was unusually silent. Zhou Mo was not affected at all. He looked around solemnly. This one needs something called the Reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. One plant can be traded for an Earth MO weapon. Whoosh! The crowd exploded. Someone couldn't resist asking, Grandmaster, you are serious? Zhou Mo said without hesitation. Yes. Is the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike for trade? Someone else couldn't resist asking, wasn't it sold to the Rare Artifacts Hall? The middle-aged Mo also had a surprised expression. He had expected that Xiao Yunhai would have a goal but he had not expected that to be publicly announcing that he was buying Reversal Shadow Soul Silkgrass. The price he gave was also an Earth MO weapon. He knew of the Reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. However, it was produced in Nether Spring Jie. While the production of it was not high, it was not so rare. This price was one that no one would be able to resist. He immediately decided that he would send an order to search for Reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass the moment he left the venue. When he heard people ask about the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike, his reaction was quick. Rare Artifacts Hall is willing to put the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Pike as a guarantee. An Earth MO weapon was valuable, but it was definitely not a loss to use an Earth MO weapon to trade for the friendship of a Grandmaster. Zhou Mo was very surprised. He nodded at the middle-aged Mo with a friendly gaze. The middle-aged Mo immediately felt good, especially when he noticed that Tang Chen beside him had a black face. He was proud of how beautiful his move had been. Tang Chen was too overbearing in his action. Was something wrong with this person's brains to force a Grandmaster of unlimited potential? The middle-aged Mo looked down on this. But he stilled at Xiao Yunhai's next words. Thanks for Rare Artifact Hall's support, but I have already sold this MO weapon to Rare Artifact Hall. This belongs to Rare Artifacts Hall, how can this one trade using that? Zhou Mo's expression was confident as he looked around. His voice was not loud but it stunned the entire place. Each word was filled with power. 3 days later, I will start to forge another Earth MO weapon. Zhou Mo's expression was determined. If my luck is good, and I forge an Earth MO weapon, I will leave the article at Rare Artifact Hall. Anyone can trade for this MO weapon with a Reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. I will trouble your hall for this. The middle-aged Mo's mouth was open, his expression stunned. He quickly reacted and nodded hurriedly, no problem, no problem. Tang Chen's expression was dark. He had been completely unprepared for the bomb that Xiao Yunhai had thrown out. But he quickly recovered. The corners of his mouth were smiling and full of disdain. As expected, this was the rashness of a young person. He had a little bit of accomplishment and he didn't know his own limit anymore. Did he really think that he could achieve anything? However, this was beneficial for the Tang family. He wanted to see how Xiao Yunhai would clean up this mess when he could not forge an earth MO weapon. At Buzhou City, no one except the Tang family could help him. Not even Rare Artifacts Hall. Tang Chen's gaze was dark and cold. Everyone was stunned where they stood. Zhuo Mo's words had caused them to lose the ability of speech. Forge an earth MO weapon. What joke was this? What did he think an earth MO weapon was? He could make one whenever he felt like it. Xiao Yunhai was crazy. Chapter 700, Old and Cunning an Earth MO Weapon. Xiao Yunhai. This was the hottest topic of the moment. All of the MO territories were paying attention to the news. Theoretically, while Earth MO weapons were rare and valuable, it was not enough to create such a great wave. But the extravagant promise that Xiao Yunhai had thrown out was too astounding. They did not know Xiao Yunhai's exact age, but he definitely was among the ranks of the youngest MO weapon grandmasters. His future could be said to be unlimited. Yet MO weapon grandmaster of such potential had suddenly stated that he would trade an Earth MO weapon for a reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. The entire MO territories were scorched by the bomb. Some were dismissive and snorted. The majority of people considered this a joke, and were simply watching the dubious spectacle. While Shen power was starting to appear in their visions, and MO skills were not considered the top tier of the powers now, Earth MO weapons were still one of the strongest weapons. Their limited number, the difficulty of creating them, the great power they contained, were all reasons it was valuable. Before Xiao Yunhai, no MO weapon grandmaster dared to announce that he would definitely forge another Earth MO weapon. In the history of the MO, the number of Earth MO weapons never surpassed 200 articles. But someone had suddenly ran out and stated that he was able to forge Earth MO weapons again. Even if he was a MO weapon master that had just become a grandmaster, it caused shock among the MO. The reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass was valuable, but its value could not rival Earth MO weapons. Its rarity was just because it was produced in Nether Spring Jia, the location was far and it was difficult to harvest. But this wasn't a problem to those prestigious families and large businesses that had far-reaching influence. However, the great majority of people only maintained the attitude of spectators. They didn't believe at all that Xiao Yunhai would be able to forge another Earth MO weapon. However, a small number of factions started to search for reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass with the aim of establishing friendly relations with the Grandmaster. They didn't have any hopes about the Earth MO weapon. In their view, while the reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass was valuable, it was still profitable if one used it to create relations with a MO weapon Grandmaster. Events like this were undoubted ones that people liked to see and hear about. People were all waiting to see the young person who had just become a grandmaster and didn't know his own limits make a joke of himself. Some even started to take bets on whether Xiao Yunhai could forge a new Earth MO weapon. It had been so long since there had been such an entertaining event. The people of the MO territories were extremely interested. Such an interesting even. In the study. Virtuous nephew, what do you think? Tang Chen asked Gong Zishi in interest. Gong Zishi had a thoughtful expression. He grimaced and shook his head. This nephew doesn't know. This Xiao Yunhai is too hard to predict, he actually promised this in public, it really. He didn't know how to describe it. Tang Chen gave a smile. Virtuous nephew, do not be thrown by this. He must have disliked the treatment he received in these days and is not willing to stay in the Tang family. He purposefully acted in public to attract people's gazes. But if he doesn't have any confidence, would he dare to say this? Gongzi's eyes expression was puzzled. It is a terrible move made in panic, Tang Qin said coolly. Young people are always rash. This event is beneficial for us. This boy doesn't know his limits, but he does have some true skill. If we are able to use him, he would be of great benefit. Uncle is right, Gongzi nodded and said. Tang Qin did not linger on this subject and changed the topic. I noticed that some of the people in your group do not look like Mo. Seeing the wry expression on Tang Chen's face, Gongzi flushed slightly and reported the truth. Uncle may not know. They are the envoys from Tianhuan. Tang Chen's expression changed. Your father plans to ally with Tianhuan? Yes. Gongzi nodded and said. Tang Chen was silently for a moment before speaking. It is good for you two families to ally together based on Tianhuan's power. One should always establish relations with those far away and attack those close by. Your two families do not have any conflicts of interest, and it is beneficial for both sides for you to help each other in secret. However, the two sides are far from each other. If there is alliance, it must be marriage. As he spoke, Tang Qin smiled. That female's identity must not be simple. Gongzi said, she is the granddaughter of Tianhuan's sect leader. Tang Qin nodded. The families are matched in status. I see that you seem to like her. I will send a letter to your father and speak of this matter on your behalf. Gongzi was overjoyed and made a deep bow. Nephew thanks uncle. Tang Qin held Gongzi up. You father and his relationship was forged through life and death experiences. I think of you as my own nephew. There is no need for these courtesies. Then his tone became stern. There is something you need to remind your father. Gongzi hurriedly said, Uncle, please speak. After a moment of silence, Tang Qin said gravely, your father must already know about the Mo Shan temple. I see that your father is busy organizing his faction. If this was the past, this is the right choice, but it is not appropriate now. Gongzi had a pondering expression. Uncle means to pay more attention to Shan power. Yes. Tang Qin nodded. You have also seen the power of Shan power. This is a power even stronger than Mo skill, Ling power, and Yao arts. Gongzi had an admiring expression. No wonder Uncle is supporting Xiao Yunhai. Uncle is wise and cunning. You really are the oriole behind the mantis stalking the cicada. Tang Chen's expression was normal. We only need to focus on Xiao Yunhai and wait. However, when Xiao Mo Gu shows up, we need enough experts in order to trap him. Gongzi knew this was a rare opportunity and nodded without hesitation. Uncle, don't worry. I will send a message right now. Uncle Qin and Uncle Zhong are both present. Tang Chen's expression became relieved. I won't worry if old Qin and old Zhong can come. This matter is a great secret. Virtuous nephew, you cannot speak of this to anyone, including your future Tianhuan wife. The last words were teasing. Gongzi's eyes face turned red, but then he became serious. Uncle, do not worry. Nephew knows the importance of this and will not mention a word of it. Tang Qin nodded. I have spoken to you for so long. Go, don't like Tianhuan's little princess wait for too long. Unlike the other people that were waiting to see Xiao Yunhai become a joke, Qinghua Shui was full of confidence in Zue Mo. Only she knew that Xiao Yunhai was Xiao Mo Gu. With her understanding of Xiao Mo Gu, if Xiao Mo Gu dared to say the words, he had great confidence in the matter. Returning from the banquet, Qinghua Shui completely calmed down and descended into her thoughts. She had found Xiao Mo Gu, then what should she do next? Get close to him. But how to get close to him? Qinghua Shui was frustrated. No one would have thought that Zue Mo, who had just announced that he would trade Earth Mo weapons for reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass, was being troubled by a completely unrelated matter. That average-looking female and that strange feeling of familiarity. Zue Mo trusted his sixth sense highly. He knew this eerie feeling of familiarity would not appear without cause. He definitely had had some interaction with this person. But no matter how hard he thought, he could not find any information related to this female. In the sea of consciousness, the three discussed this matter. However, Pu Yao and Wei were sure they had never seen this female before. It really was strange. At this time, Zhuo Mo's body froze. A daring thought appeared. Once this thought appeared, it took over every corner of his body. Even Pu Yao and Wei didn't have an impression of her. Then this female definitely appeared before he encountered Pu Yao and Wei. Could it be? She appeared before his memories had been erased and his features changed. Chapter 701, The City Market. When Zhuo Mo thought about how the average-looking woman could have possibly been from before when his memories had been erased and his appearance changed, his mind could not remain calm. Because he was going to start forging Mo Wians 3 days later, the Tang family's protection eased off greatly. Other than a few guards, Zhuo Mo only had a Gui with him most of the time. Zhuo Mo was someone all of Buzhou City knew, especially when he had announced in such a flamboyant fashion that he was about to forge Mo weapons. He was the population topic of discussion. Consequently, when Zhuo Mo walked on the street, people continued to greet him. Of course, there were also people that were pointing at him in secret. Zhuo Mo's mind was full of his own thoughts. Maybe he could find a chance to probe this woman's origins. Suddenly, a guard said, "Darren, this is the biggest materials market in Buzhou City. However, the majority of the items here are normal materials." He was puzzled. It was mostly low-level Mo weapon masters that came to these markets for normal materials. They did not have enough mabe to buy rare and expensive materials. Good Mo weapons usually required good materials. Even the best Mo weapon master could not forge an earth Mo weapon with normal materials. He felt very puzzled when Grandmaster Xiao Yunhai had requested for them to take him to visit a market for normal materials. In his view, what the Grandmaster needed was the top kind of materials. Didn't he want to forge earth Mo weapons? But the higher-ups had ordered for them to unconditionally cooperate with Grandmaster's request if it was possible. Zhuo Mo's stray thoughts faded. He nodded. "Let's go in." When they walked into the market, a wave of noise came at them. The stalls were organized neatly with large amounts of materials on display. The sound of bargaining, arguing, and cursing filled the air. It was possible to see the flushed faces everywhere. The guard couldn't help but freeze. As one of the best among the Tang family guards, the places he visited were usually elegant ones. It had been a long time since he had come to such a dirty and chaotic place. He glanced at Grandmaster out of the corner of his eyes. He saw that Grandmaster's expression was composed and without any unease. In reality, Zhuo Mo wasn't just at ease, he was slightly excited when he saw such a familiar scene. His stray thoughts were thrown away. It was like he was fired up, his eyes red, and his fighting spirit rose. The surroundings were filled with the sound of bargaining. Again. Bargain, bargain, bargain. 180 mabe. Are you joking? The quality is normal, oh, and there are 3 flaws. The quality can only be considered above average, you dare to ask for 180 mabe? 100. Don't joke, I'll give you 80 at most. 15 mabe. I want 100, are you going to sell? No. Let's go. I just said so. You still make a profit, don't think that I don't know. The guard leader gaped. Grandmaster was invincible as he bargained his way down. He felt that everything that was happening in front of him was incomprehensible. A great Grandmaster was arguing furiously with other people for just a few mabe, this. Shouldn't Grandmasters sit in the private rooms, drink the best wine, and elegantly pick the treasures surrounded by beautiful females? Zhuo Mo forgot himself in bargaining and felt great pleasure. But gradually, he found the situation wasn't quite right. 10 mabe, sell. Sell. Zhuo Mo looked with puzzlement at the shop owner. The shop owner's expression was excited as though he wanted to sell immediately. This wasn't right, 10 mabe was definitely just above cost. He had given the other 1 mabe above. He hadn't expected the shop owner to agree immediately. Something was strange. Was there something wrong with the wares? Zuemo flipped it over and inspected it for a long time. He was even more puzzled. There were no problems. Suppressing the bewilderment he felt, he took 200 of the material. His gaze landed on another kind of material. Will you sell for 7 mabe? Sell, sell, sell. The shop owner nodded repeatedly. Zuemo raised his head and couldn't help but curse, how can you do business like this? Sell for 7 mabe? Are you crazy? This costs at least 10 mabe, is something wrong with your head? The shop owner nodded with a dumb smile. Zuemo stilled. Was this person really stupid? He raised his head and the excitement quickly receded. He immediately discovered the strangeness in the surroundings. The noisy market was silent. What was this? Zuemo hurriedly looked around. When he saw everyone's gazes were on him, he understood. Cough, 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 he hurriedly raised his head and puffed out his chest. He pointed at the things he had bought and said to the guard, "Oh, put these away." Yes. The guard leader's face was burning. Today was really a great embarrassment. He raised his head and glanced at Grandmaster. Grandmaster's expression was normal as though nothing had happened. As expected of Grandmaster, his face was thicker than normal people. Suddenly, a middle-aged person walked forward with an excited expression. Respected Grandmaster. Welcome. We feel honored by your arrival. Hello, hello. Zuemo smiled. Please give us a list for what Grandmaster requires. We do not have anything good, but the quality of our low-level materials is not bad. The middle-aged person said respectfully. Zuemo had come because he needed to use low-level materials. He had prepared a list before coming but hadn't expected that he would use it at this time. While he could not experience the pleasure of bargaining, it would save him effort. Zuemo handed the list to the middle-aged person. The middle-aged person seemed to have a reputation here. He handed the list to the servant behind him and the servant went away to gather materials. Does Grandmaster need assistance? The middle-aged person inquired. The guard leader spoke in displeasure. Are you qualified to be Grandmaster's assistant? Humph. The MO weapon masters in the surroundings were silent. While the guard leader's words were harsh and not easy to hear, but it was the truth. The MO weapon masters that were in this place were not very good. But Zuemo was moved. If they have talent, they may be able to learn from me. His words were pretentious but the effect was excellent. The MO weapon masters in the surroundings became excited. Many of them had desirous expression. Even the middle-aged person was slightly excited. But he was experienced and did not lose his calm. How do we judge for the talent that Grandmaster speaks of? After thinking, Zuemo said, use MO weapons, the grade doesn't matter, just let me have a look. The guard leader felt disdain but he could not speak now, otherwise his actions would mean not giving Grandmaster face. The MO weapon masters here were not good ones. The MO weapon masters at Buzhou City who had talent were almost all part of the Tang family. These toads wanted to eat the meat of a swan. They were delusional. He didn't understand. Grandmaster actually agreed to such a boring and meaningless matter? There were countless MO weapon masters in the Tang family that wanted to be Grandmaster's assistant. While this Grandmaster liked to boast, he was still a Grandmaster. He could not understand Zuemo's way of thinking. A pile of MO weapons were quickly laid out and presented in front of Zuemo. The guard leader took a glance and then snorted. There wasn't even a single colonel-level MO weapon here. Zuemo ignored the sneer of the guard leader. His gaze swept across the MO weapons. His gaze suddenly stopped on a dagger MO weapon. He took out the dagger, raised it up and asked, who made this MO weapon? A youth with a slightly pale complexion walked out of the crowd. His face was flushed and he was excited. Grandmaster, I made it. Zhuo then asked him a few questions. The youth responded smoothly and Zhuo confirmed that he was the one to forge the dagger. Zhuo nodded. Starting today, you are my assistant. Gasp! The people around shouted in shock. Disbelief and joy floated into the youth's face. The middle-aged person was also very excited. He went forward and hugged the youth. Then he said solemnly, Sproutling, be good and learn from Grandmaster. His fellows came up to congratulate him. Everyone knew that this opportunity would alter Sproutling's fate. The guard leader's face was not very good. He hadn't thought that Grandmaster would really select an assistant from here. As a guard of the Tang family, he naturally put the Tang family first. There were so many Tang family weapon masters waiting for the opportunity, but an outsider had gotten there first. While it was not his mistake, he could not escape being connected to this. Grandmaster, shouldn't this? He couldn't help but speak. Zhuo's expression darkened. Do I need to report my actions to you? Hearing this, the guard leader's heart jumped and he hurriedly said, Grandmaster is joking, this one doesn't dare. But Grandmaster is of high status, and your safety should be prioritized. This person is unknown. Sproutling's face paled. Zhuo impatiently interrupted the guard leader. I have my own way of conduct. The guard leader gritted his teeth and persisted. If something happens to Grandmaster, and the Patriarch assigns blame, this one. Ague, throw him out, Zhuo said coolly. Ague, who had been silently standing next to Zhuo, suddenly disappeared. The guard leader was shocked. Before he could react, his neck was gripped and he wasn't able to use his own strength. Whoosh, he flew out of the market. He smashed onto the ground, and wasn't able to get up for a while. The faces of the other guards changed. They were about to move, but when they saw that Ague didn't seem to have moved at all, their faces were ashen white. Their fighting spirit that had just started to burn immediately disappeared. Agui's undying Shen power had a great qualities. It had no color and was extremely deceptive. What's your name? Zhuo asked Sproutling in a gentle gong. Sproutling gathered his courage. Grandmaster, I don't have a name, they all call me Bean Sprout or Sproutling. No name, your parents? Zhuo asked. They are dead. Sproutling said in a low voice. Zhuo was slightly surprised. He suddenly thought of himself and felt emotional. But he quickly raised his head and patted Sproutling's thin shoulder. Your way of thinking is good, but there are some mistakes. Is there a small weapon pool here? The middle-aged person knew that Zhuo was going to teach Sproutling and was overjoyed. He hurriedly said, yes yes yes. Zhuo looked at the weapon masters in the surroundings with desire on their faces and smiled. You can all come watch. All of the weapon masters cheered. Zhuo definitely would not have thought that his accidental action would. Chapter 702, The Snow of the Blue Flower. The little pool in the market was low grade and usually used by the low-level weapon masters who were short on money. Naturally, the results were never very good. The middle-aged person was slightly embarrassed, and all the weapon masters all had expressions of embarrassment. It really was lowering Grandmaster's status to have him use such a low-grade weapon pool. It was not acceptable, but they did not have any better weapon pools. They looked uncertainly at Zhuo. Zhuo did not care. He looked at the weapon pool and then moved his gaze away. He turned around and faced the crowd with the dagger that Sproutling had made in his hand. The concept behind this dagger is very interesting. It has 3 primary materials, white wood bone, ice blue stone, and concerted shine crystal. Everyone perked their ears up and focused in fear of missing a single word. I believe that everyone knows these 3 materials. Most people would use the white wood bone as the base material, the ice blue stone to give it the trait of iciness, and then use the concerted shine crystal in order to merge the 2 together. Some of the weapon masters nodded. This was the basic method, and even the most ignorant MO weapon master knew it. They were curious. The more basic the materials were, the harder it was to do something new with it. They could not think how these three basic materials could be put together any other way. But Sproutling's thinking is unorthodox. He used the concerted shine crystal as the base, and then used the whitewood bone and the ice blue stone as materials to strengthen it. Gasps rang out. Everyone felt this recipe was impossible and unconventional. Speaking from the view of traditional MO weapon forging, this is completely against the rules. The concerted shine crystal is a very good low-level material, but it is not a material that can act as the base for a weapon because it is too soft. The MO weapon masters almost unconsciously nodded. As a result, Sproutling treated the concerted shine crystal with the sap of the fragrant leaf tree to merge gold thread amber, and hardened concerted shine crystal after the whitewood bone and ice blue stone was merged. Some MO weapon masters had thoughtful expressions. This is a creative idea. Zuomo's words caused Bean Sprout to flush. Bean Sprout knew just how terribly his dagger was made. Zuomo changed subject. But in order to finish this line of creative thought, good forging technique is required. Whitewood bone is rarely used as a base, and people will rarely remember that it has a trait, wood thread. The entire crowd was silent, and everyone had expressions of respect. If people had a thread of doubt about Zuomo's skill due to the rumors before this, then the doubt now disappeared. Even the basic materials in Grandmaster's mouth had all kinds of transformations. In the eyes of many people, wood thread is a trait that isn't useful, but if it is used well, it will have unusual effects. Finishing his analysis, he started to throw materials towards the MO weapon pool. With each item, he would say the name of the material, and then explain why he was using this material as well as the details that one needed to pay attention to. The MO weapon masters didn't dare to make a sound. They were like Zuomo's students and listened with a tinge of devoutness. Low-level MO weapon masters did not have any status in society. Their income was low, and making a living was difficult. Their skill was crude, which meant they were unable to make fine MO weapons. Their income was limited, which in turn caused them to lose the possibility of improving. They knew just how rare this chance was. A grandmaster was giving them a lecture. This was the only and the most important class in their life. Their gazes as they looked at Zuomo were filled with sincere respect and gratefulness. They memorized Zuomo's practiced skill and the contents he spoke casually off. The usually noisy market was completely silent. Zuomo's voice was the only sound that echoed. All of the shop owners did not make a sound. They knew the difficulties of these low-level MO masters. Many of them were friends. They did not understand deep principles, but they were infected by this devoutness, yearning, and passion. In this moment, in this place that only recognized Mabe, there was no low and high status of society. Afterwards, a completely new style of MO weapon masters would form from here. They preferred simple and practical materials. They aimed to be creative, they were enthusiastic about the spread of MO weapon skills. They had a special name, they were the market MO weapon masters. Those damned bastards. The guard leader gritted his teeth. Ague was never light-handed when she attacked. While he wasn't wounded, he was left disheveled and there was a large green bruise on his face. He quickly noticed the burning gazes in the surroundings and wanted to find a crack in the ground to hide in. One of the guard leaders of the Tang family was left in such a sorry state. At this time, a familiar, grave and murderousness voice sounded. Old 3, what happened? Head. He climbed up from the ground with embarrassment. Head. What happened? Boss' face was murderousness and his gaze vicious. He was sitting on top of his MO steed that seemed to be a small mountain. The steed's 4 limbs seemed to be made from iron, the long tail spiked. There was an arm-thick horn at its forehead that flashed with a blue light. This was a sword-tail blue-hone rhinoceros. It was vicious and battle-hungry, a powerful offensive MO steed. The Grandmaster. Head immediately understood and his face abruptly changed. His eyes flashed with a cold light as he said, "Even a grandmaster doesn't qualify to run rampant on our Tang family's land." He had disliked Xiao Yunhai's proud attitude a long time ago. The Tang family treated him as an honored guest, yet he was so proud. Even if he might be punished by the patriarch today, he would teach that person who did not know his limits whose land he was on. "Big brother, be careful of that servant of his," the guard leader gritted out. "Yes, I will cripple her," Head said coolly. When he finished speaking, he picked up a long spear hanging from the Mo steed. He looked towards the depth of the market. Xiao Yunhai's voice was coming faintly from it. It was unusually silent inside. He did not care. He had absolute confidence in his own power. He nudged the sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros under his body. With every step, the ground trembled slightly. Clip-boom, clip-boom. The head of the sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros started to lower. The blue horn flashed with a soul-shaking light. A low howl came from its mouth. Its heavy breathing showed that it was gathering its strength. The head had a secure grip on the long spear in his hand. His cold face seemed to be carved from stone. The battle spirit that came from the Mo steed under him caused his eyes to rapidly turn red. The icy feeling from the long spear in his hand removed the last stray thought in his mind. Qinghua Shui was enchanted as she listened. There was a knowing smile on her lips. Actually, she didn't understand what Sui Mo was saying at all. For a Yao, Mo weapon forging was so cryptic it was like trying to read the heavens. But she could feel the unique atmosphere of the market. She did not realize that there was a respectful expression on her face. The Xiao Mo Gu in front of her was so unfamiliar. It was unlike the Xiao Mo Gu that Qinghua Shui had seen in the mirages. There was natural and indescribable presence emanating from his body. She had been paying attention to Zhou Mo all this time. Zhou Mo had not concealed his tracks and she had quickly followed him as he left the Tang Manor. Ning Shiner couldn't help but tease. But had agreed to help cover her for. They were not like Ji Li Yu who could come and go as she wished. Qinghua Shui had seen the entire course of events. She had never thought that Xiao Mo Gu would pay attention to the lowest level of Mo weapon masters. Compared to the strict class structure of the Mo, the Yao were slightly better, but even for the Yao no grandmaster would be like this. Definitely not. The grandmasters were of great status, far above these Mo weapon masters of the lowest class. But such a scene was happening in front of her, and the reason was Xiao Mo Gu that she had been searching all this time. When her gaze swept across the respect and devoutness on the aces of these low-level Mo weapon masters, she suddenly was moved. For some unknown reason. An enormous figure suddenly blocked the entrance to the market. A strong killing energy was like a cold and snowy wind that blew in. The temperature inside the market immediately dropped. Humph. A cold snort exploded like thunder. The Mo weapon masters that had weak Mo skills changed expression in unison. Qinghua Zhu's pupils suddenly contracted. An enormous figure charged like a strong wind. Qinghua Shui's body reacted immediately. Like a blue bolt of lightning, she suddenly appeared in front of the other's path. When she blocked the other, she suddenly realized what she had done. Unrelated people, move. The thunderous and furious howl, along with the roar of the wind and the rumble of the ground shaking, echoed through the entire market. Several serene blue flowers floated up from her hand. Blue flower. What was she doing? Having suddenly realized this, Qinghua Shui's face burned, but at this time, she did not have the attention to question her reaction. While she was from a branch family, she possessed the greatest talent among the youngest generation of the Qinghua family. All of this was displayed now. In the eyes of everyone else, Qinghua Shui's gaze was as sharp as a sword. At this time, she was like an unsheathed sword. She was fearless. She had discovered her weakness in the fight against Sui Mo. Her talent was outstanding, but she had lacked combat experience. She had strength, but there was not much of it she could express. But now, after resolving that, her power had skyrocketed. The present her was not the same as in the past. The moment the blue flowers floated up, she detected a pause from Xiao Imogu behind her. While that pause was imperceptible, it caused her fighting spirit to rise to the peak. All of her terror and timidity disappeared. In this moment, she only had one thought: she was going to show her power in front of Xiao Imogu. Show all of it. Chapter 703, Interference. The beautiful yet fragile blue flowers caused the leader of the Tang family guards to feel a trembling in his heart. He immediately threw away all of his underestimation and condescension. His narrowed eyes were now full of wariness. Who was this woman? The blue flowers floating in his view brimmed with hidden killing intent. The head's gaze turned grave. His legs squeezed, and the sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros under him accelerated in response. Its enormous body was like an arrow leaving the bow. It left afterimages in the air, and the deep roar immediately disappeared. A point of blinding cold light seemed to come out of the air, and quickly spread among the blue flowers. The space around the blue flowers seemed to solidify. The point of blinding cold energy was like a whirlpool that sucked countless blue flowers towards the dot like moths to a flame. Something from nothingness spear. The head's stone-like cold face appeared after the point of cold energy faded. He detected the power of the blue flowers, and his first move was a killing move. A light flashed across Sua Mo, who was beside the Mo weapon pool. He was shocked inside. This strike contained laws of domain. With just this strike, this person could be counted among the ranks of experts. It's something from nothingness spear. Wei was slightly surprised. Such a strange name, Zuemo couldn't resist saying. Wei chatted, the something from nothingness spear is the peak work for spear-type Mo skills. Ever since it was created, it was one of the most powerful spear-type Mo skills. However, it is extremely difficult to cultivate. I had thought it was lost, and had not expected to see it today. Zuemo found it easy to multitask. He had no difficulty splitting his attention when forging a low-level Mo weapon. Most of his attention was on the two people fighting. He recognized Qinghua Shui. He had a deep impression of her from that fight against in the 10-finger prison. Pu Yao and Wei also recognized her. This girl seems much stronger than last time. Pu Yao was slightly shocked. It is definitely because our strong little Mo stole her heart. She worked hard, and see, she chased him all the way to the Mo territories. Such a good girl. Wei was like a gossiping old woman. Zuemo was so disgusted by that little Mo, he almost ruined the Mo weapon in the Mo weapon pool. He was furious. Wei, I said that you aren't allowed to call me little Mo. Pu Yao nodded and said, this girl's blue flower is pretty good. However, is there something wrong with the minds of the Qinghua family? They have let such a talent out without any protection. Aren't they afraid that something will happen? Maybe she sneaked out of her home and has come in search of our little Mo. Wei inserted. Zuemo gritted through his teeth, Wei, I said not to call me little Mo. At this time, Pu Yao rubbed his chin and said seriously, Azwa, how about you seduce her? Recruit her. Give me half a year, I definitely can create an expert. Zuemo realized that it was a dead end to talk to these two heartless people. He decided to ignore the two scoundrels and put his attention on the fight occurring. The space around the two fighting was now twisting and crumbling. That point of cold energy was as bright as a star. The blue flowers flew towards the dot of cold energy as though they were being sucked into a whirlpool. Qinghua Shui felt slight shock at the other's spear thrust, but she didn't feel any fear. Her mind was focused. She spread her arms. Her straight back, her full chest, her tight waist and pert behind formed a soul-stealing curving figure. In this moment, the painting seemed to be set. A beautiful curve, a young face with the eyes slightly closed, one had to sigh at the wonder of creation. Qinghua Shui had a small confident smile on her face that was tinged with piousness. It was like the last stroke that made the drawing come to life. Her long and white fingers were wrapped in threads of blue energy. Zing! A high metallic sound spread across the entire field. The cold energy lit up and the blue flowers that were pulled in were torn into pieces. Qinghua Shui opened her eyes at this moment. Each of her eyes had a blue flower floating in them. The two blue flowers slowly spun. Blue sprouts suddenly appeared on her hands. These sprouts grew at an astounding rate. In a blink, the blue vines almost completely took over the space between the two fighters. When these blue vines were furiously grown, the head had a strong feeling of danger. When they had just came into contact, he did not know what these blue flowers were. However, when he destroyed these dangerous blue flowers, he knew that these were Yao arts. This fragile female in front of him was a Yao. The head immediately started to hesitate. Such a powerful Yao was definitely part of the Yao envoy. The patriarch had ordered them not to offend the Yao envoys. This Yao envoy was the first one that the government of the Yao had sent in the last decade. Behind them was the highest authority of the Yao, the Council of Elders. This caused the head to have second thoughts, yet when he found that the surrounding space was almost completely taken over by the blue vines, his expression changed. All of his hesitations were thrown away. The strong murderousness from the young woman caused his hairs to stand on end. Such a vicious girl. The other was trying to kill him. Experienced in battle, the head immediately understood that if he did not fight with his full power, his life would probably end here. The sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros under him also detected danger and gave a low growl. The head patted the restless sword-tail blue-horn rhinoceros and it immediately calmed down. In his field of view, the packed blue vines were like an enormous cage. The blue flowers were blossoming on the vine and the number was astounding. Domain. The other was a Yao expert that had also comprehended domain. The head bowed his body slightly and tightened his grip on the long spear. Azwa, this is a bit like your Yao art cages. Pu Yao was the first to discover this. Wei was immediately excited. Proof. Proof. This is proof. Little Mo, she clearly has been in love with you for a long time. Zui Mo was also slightly surprised. Qinghua Shui's blue flower cage was very similar to the Yao art cages he had once used in the 10-finger prison. This similarity wasn't just in shape, but in many crucial parts of its structure. However, Zui Mo snorted at Weiss, clearly one-sided thinking. It most likely was that the other was not willing to accept her past defeat. She had searched for his mirages to search for his weakness and incorporated what she learned in her own style. Zui Mo felt that his line of thinking was more reliable. The other had stopped this attack for him, probably with the intention that she could have a fair battle with him after. While the other's powerful blue flowers had grown in power and caused Zui Mo's blood to heat slightly, when he thought of the trouble that would be caused if his identity was exposed, Zui Mo's fighting spirit quickly disappeared. It really was troublesome. Zui Mo started to ponder another important question. Had this woman recognized him already? She definitely had. For some reason, Zui Mo had this strong feeling. Maybe it was Qinghua Shui's strong fighting spirit that stimulated him. He had a high confidence that the other had recognized him. Damn it! When Zui Mo realized this, he had a headache. He had to think of what to do next. What to do about it? Sacrifice yourself. Little Mo. Wei excitedly suggested. Sacrifice yourself. Azwa. Pu Yao was serious. But then dark snickered echoed in the sea of consciousness. Zui Mo had no more hopes for these two. Suddenly, a voice interrupted Zui Mo's thoughts. Fighting and killing is not good. If there is time, everyone should drink together. A cold wind energy suddenly appeared in front of Qinghua Shui and the head. This wind appeared suddenly without any warning. A thread of shock flickered through Qinghua Shui's eyes. She didn't even know how the wind that broken through her blue flower cage. The head that had just been about to attack suddenly froze. He could not suppress the shock in his eyes. The wind was at his side but he hadn't detected it at all. Unfathomable power. The beautiful, blue flower cage, shattered into fragments of energy. Qinghua Shui released her Yao art. The restless swordtail blue horn rhinoceros was docile and the head's terrifying presence had disappeared. A figure slowly walked out. It was Feng Xinz. When she found that the person was Feng Xinz, Qinghua Shui's expression recovered as though nothing had happened. She went forward and bowed, Darren. It seems that the Blue Flower family made a wrong judgment. Feng Xinz smiled and said, I remember that you are from a branch family. Yes, Darren, Qinghua Shui replied with an indifferent expression. Good, good. Feng Xinz nodded and then said coolly, no matter what ideas you have, since you are a member of the envoys, you have to consider and not make trouble for everyone. Darren is right, Shui was rash, Qinghua Shui said apologetically. Feng Xinz saw her good attitude and nodded. He turned and said to the head, this one subordinate is young and ignorant to offend sire. Sire, please have tolerance. The head looked deeply at Feng Xinz, who had a gentle smile on his face without any unease. Then he left without a word. When the swordtail blue horn rhinoceros left the market, the MO weapon masters in the market finally relaxed. They had been at Buzhou City for a long time and knew how bad the temper of the Tang family head guard was. Killing was a simple matter for him. Even the guards of the Tang family feared their head and that they would be killed if they angered him. The gazes of the MO weapon masters landed on Feng Xinz, all of them with respect and awe, especially the women. Some even have infatuated eyes. Feng Xinz's appearance was handsome, and his smile friendly. He had a sunny aura, and his power great. No matter where, this kind of person would shine like the sun. Feng Xinz looked in interest at the MO weapon pool as though he had never seen a MO weapon being forged before. When another figure walked out, the crowd immediately shifted. When the peerlessly beautiful Ji Liu arrived, all the light of the market seemed to gather on her. She walked next to Feng Xinz and thoughtfully glanced at the indifferent Qinghua Shui before moving her gaze to Zhua Mo. Something strange suddenly was occurring at the MO weapon pool. Chapter 704, Taken to control the black pool. Water gradually became clear. It was possible to see to the bottom. There wasn't any impurity. A blue dagger silently laid at the bottom of the pool. The surrounding MO weapon masters stretched out their necks in hope they could see the newly forged MO weapon. Everyone was very curious what the low-level materials could do in the hands of a MO weapon grandmaster. Zhua Mo's hand shook slightly. The dagger suddenly flew out of the pool and landed in his hand. People found to their shock that there was an extremely thin gray shadow at the end of the dagger that was difficult to see with the naked eye. The smarter people immediately thought of the trait of the white wood bone that was easily missed, wood thread. Zhua Mo had perfectly and carefully modified all the details of the dagger. The MO matrices on the surface of the dagger were exquisite and elegant. The dagger was as thin as a piece of paper. It was covered in blue MO matrices which made it seem like a work of art rather than a weapon to kill. Zhua Mo did not use MO matrices of high level. These low-level materials could not tolerate high-level MO matrices. The MO weapon masters present almost all recognized every MO matrix on the dagger, but Zhua Mo had spent some effort on choosing and matching the MO matrices. The unique trait of the ice blue stone was completely expressed and gave the dagger the attribute of ice. However, Zhua Mo used a MO matrix that would conceal its energy to hide the ice. When the dagger left the user's hand, it wouldn't be possible to detect any icy presence. The white wood bone increased the dagger's flexibility. Its wood thread trait was the attribute that Zhua Mo had strengthened the most. The strong wood threads were treated with shadow fluid to make it even stronger and harder to detect. The concerted shine crystal was a material that was usually used during changes. It was used as the base to make the base even more suitable for transformation. The main body of the base was covered in shadow MO matrices that could cause it to turn to shadow. Zhuo Mo had set down armor-breaking Mo matrices at the blade edge of the dagger. The armor-breaking Mo matrices and the ice Mo matrices were connected, and they would touch the hand together. The Mo matrix at the handle of the dagger was called interlink. It could increase the synchronization between the Mo weapon and the user. When this dagger passed among the hands of the Mo weapon masters, everyone was stunned by this work. Brigadier-level Mo weapon. This was a Mo weapon suited for assassination. If it was sold at any auction, it could easily be sold for 2 million mabe, yet the cost of the materials was just 600 mabe. As expected of the Grandmaster. These Mo weapon masters were completely stunned by Zhuo Mo's ability to turn trash into treasure. Low-level materials just worth 600 mabe was able to forge a brigadier-level Mo weapon that was over 2 million mabe in value. Such skill was uncanny. Yet they were able to understand the entire process, and Zhuo Mo had not hidden any of his thoughts. They even recognized the Mo matrices, but they would still be unable to make one. Even some intermediate and high-level Mo weapon masters would not be able to put so many Mo matrices on the little dagger, much less these low-level Mo weapon masters. But this little Mo weapon gave them great inspiration. Zhuo Mo's way of thinking and his use of Mo matrices were different than the traditional Mo weapon masters. Good Mo weapon. Ji Liu suddenly gave a compliment. Her voice was soft and pleasing to hear. Miss Ji is too complimentary. Zhuo Mo nodded politely at the other. He still remembered Tang Chen's introduction at the banquet. In the Sea of Consciousness, Pu Yao asked Zhuo Mo, "Do you still remember her? Have we met before?" Zhuo Mo stilled and asked. "Then why do you remember the Qinghua family female?" Pu Yao asked. "Because of love," Wei came over to say. Zhuo Mo rolled his eyes. "Of course I remember her after fighting her." Pu Yao was slightly excited. "Just like me in the past, not enchanted by beauty." Wei interrupted with a sympathetic expression. "Now I know why you still yearned after Boss, and can't forget her after thousands of years. How hard did Boss beat you up in the past?" "Ha!" Pu Yao's expression froze on his face, and quickly became twisted. These two were really lively now. Zhuo Mo came out of the Sea of Consciousness. However, he didn't have any impression of Ji Liu. Ji Liu was slightly discontent. From the start, this Xiao Yunhai didn't seem to have any patience for her. Even if she took the initiative, the other still had an indifferent wooden face. She questioned, did this person even have any other expression? Her beauty that never failed didn't seem to have any use on him. Ji Liu was very perceptive. While Zhuo Mo did not say anything to Qinghua Shui, but she detected that Zhuo Mo had more of an interest in Qinghua Shui than in her. She was not in a good mood. While she did not feel that Xiao Yunhai was great, and there was nothing about him that attracted her, the other's dismissal of her stirred her desire to win. Did that Qinghua Shui qualify to steal the limelight from her? "This Mo weapon is very beautiful, can Mr. give it to Liu?" Ji Liu controlled her performance to the perfect degree and looked hopefully at Zhuo Mo. Zhuo Mo almost said, 2 million mabe, thanks for your patronage, but managed to react. He forced a smile, and said, "My apologies, this Mo weapon is an example for the public and will be placed at the market." "That really is a regret." Ji Liu's enchanting smile did not fade. "Does Mr. Xiao have time tonight?" "Very sorry, this one has other matters to attend to tonight." Zhuo Mo shook his head and refused directly. Disappointment finally appeared on Ji Liu's face. Her brow creased and she looked pitifully at Zhuo Mo. The surrounding people all had expressions of conflict. They all felt that Grandmaster treating Ji Liu like this was cruel. They didn't dare to speak up because of Grandmaster's high status. If this was any other person, they would have rushed in to beat the person up. Zhuo Mo's Mo skill was high and his mind strong. Unless it was against freaks like eldest Xixiang, Zhuo Mo thought he would not be weaker than anyone. Ji Liu's charm clothing had negligible effects on Zhuo Mo. Ji Liu was now actually slightly angry. She had almost never begged like this, and hadn't thought that she would encounter resistance today. The proud Ji Liu said coldly, "Then this one will not delay, Grandmaster." Finished, she turned to leave. Feng Xinzi had a grimace on his face as he raised his hand in farewell to Zuo. "Grandmaster, do not be angry, her temper is like this. This one will bid farewell. If there is time, let's go drinking together." Then he turned to say to Qinghua Shui, "There is nothing going on recently. If you are interested in MO weapons, why don't you assist Grandmaster? You have to listen to Grandmaster's orders." Qinghua Shui's expression was not too surprised or joyed. She coolly bowed and said, "Yes." Feng Xinzi looked deeply at Qinghua Shui. For the first time, he felt as though he could not see through this little girl from the branch family of the Blue Flower family. This was not a woman that would follow the herd. However, it fit into Feng Xinzi's aims that she was interested in Xiao Yunhai. Feng Xinzi had been frustrated over being unable to get close to Xiao Yunhai. While there were no clues that Xiao Yunhai and Xiao Imogu were related, Feng Xinzi had a feeling that the two definitely had a connection. When Zuo heard Feng Xinzi's words, he frowned. In his view, Qinghua Shui was big trouble. This person who knew his identity was a bomb that could explode at any time. He hadn't expected Feng Xinzi to have her follow him around. He was just about to speak, but Feng Xinzi did not give him a chance to speak and disappeared. Qinghua Shui greets Grandmaster. "Grandmaster, please tell me if there is something to be done," Qinghua Shui said with a faint smile. For some unknown reason, she felt as though the dark clouds had dissipated, and the sun was so bright. Qinghua Shui, so she was called Qinghua Shui. The more he looked at her, the more Zuo felt that the words, "the scheme was successful," was written on her face. He immediately had a headache. But he could not kill her. "What do you think we should do?" Zuo could only find Pu Yao and Wei to discuss. "Sacrifice yourself, little Mo. This will take care of everything," Wei said determinedly. If Zuo had a knife in his hand, he would throw it towards Wei. Azwa, you have to think of a way to get her on your side," Pu Yao said seriously. "It seems that we have to first discuss the problem of rent." Zuo gritted his teeth. Wei immediately slipped away. Pu Yao's expression froze, but then he said with concern as though nothing had happened, "You know that it is very likely she will expose you. The best way to deal with such a threat is to kill such a dangerous woman. Dead people cannot speak. However, you cannot do this now, but you can go for the alternative. Bring her on your side, let her stay within your control, this will lower the risk that you will be exposed." This seemed reasonable. Zuo thought. He had to admit that Pu Yao's words were reasonable. "Then how can I get her on my side?" Zuo asked. Pu Yao thought and said, "Two ways. I see that Qinghua Shui has intentions of coming to your side, this shouldn't be a big problem. However, you have to consider the Yao envoy. She is a member of the envoy and you need the agreement of the envoy." The agreement of the envoy? Zuo felt the matter was far more troublesome than he had imagined. He was full of regret. Why did he fight Qinghua Shui in the past? On the surface, the leader of the envoy is Ji Liu, but I think the true commander is Feng Xinzi. Pu Yao said solemnly. "You have to be careful, this person is cunning and powerful. He is not easy to deal with. Well, deal with Feng Xinzi later." Zuo also felt that Feng Xinzi would be difficult to deal with. He decided to put this problem to the side and asked a more practical question. "What can I do to get her completely in my control?" "Have her look after your daily matters," Pu Yao darkly said. This idea was pretty good. Looking at Qinghua Shui that was waiting for him to speak, Zuo threw away his thoughts of getting her as far away as possible. His tone changed, "Then from today, you can take of my daily matters. Bean Sprout is responsible for the duties related for MO weapon forging." A smile appeared at the corner of Qinghua Shui's mouth. "Many thanks, Grandmaster." Bean Sprout also bowed. I will definitely work hard. He had to get her in his control. Zhuemo gritted his teeth and reminded himself. Chapter 705, All sides. Feng Xinz listened to the sound of dishes being smashed inside the room and smiled dismissively before turning and leaving. In his eyes, Ji Liu might be beautiful, but she was proud like a peacock displaying himself. Other than those few grand feathers, her intelligence was not enough to rival her beauty. In comparison, Feng Xinz admired Qinghua Shui's coldness and composure more. He was not sure if it was a good move to arrange for Qinghua Shui to be with Xiao Yunhai. He couldn't see through this girl. If he hadn't seen the fight with his own eyes, Feng Xinz definitely would have never expected that the silent Qinghua Shui would possess such great power. Feng Xinz, who had always prided himself on his eyes, had to admit that his judgment had been wrong this time. However, he did not worry that Qinghua Shui would do anything stupid. The Blue Flower family had some political power, but they could not oppose the Council of Elders. Qinghua Shui would not disregard the rest of the Blue Flower family. He actually hoped that Qinghua Shui would give an even better performance. The Yao did not need a Mo weapon grandmaster, but if they had one, the Council of Elders would undoubtedly have a bargaining chip on their side during negotiations with the Mo. This would be a very effective bargaining chip as it had a fatal attraction to any Mo faction. Feng Xinz entered the 10-finger prison like usual. When he saw Mingyu Yes back, he unconsciously lightened his steps. It was her peerlessly beautiful figure that caused Feng Xinz to willingly serve her. Mingyu Yi turned around. That heavenly beautiful face entered Feng Xinz's vision. Feng Xinz's heart imperceptibly quickened. Thank you. Mingyu Yi smiled slightly. Feng Xinz tried to let himself relax. He said teasingly, "It's actually relaxing. We have good food and beautiful women on this journey. It would have been wonderful if my journey in the past were so comfortable." Mingyu Yes' lips curved slightly as a smile flashed. Her finger flickered and a ball of light left her hand. "Oh, it seems that there have been new developments." Feng Xinz muttered as he received the ball of light. The information flowed across his mind. Moments later, his expression became surprised. Xiao Mo Gu is at Buzhou City. This is confirmed. Confirmed. Mingyu Yi nodded and was unusually sure. Feng Xinz did not ask any more questions. Mingyu Yi Darren was sure. Then this was definitely true. He continued to read. When he saw the next line, he exclaimed in shock. Xiao Yunhai. Yes, we have not discovered Xiao Yunhai's origins now, but his identity as a Mo weapon grandmaster can be used. If Xiao Mo Gu is at Buzhou City, he would definitely find Xiao Yunhai to repair the anti-dragon claw. The anti-dragon claw is a Sky Missouri weapon. If there is even the slightest possibility of repairing it, there is no reason that Xiao Mo Gu would pass up this chance. When Mingyu Yi spoke of these matters, she would give off an intimidating and authoritative presence. Her eyes were as bright as stars. Some people were born to be leaders. Countless experts had submitted to Mingyu Yes' powerful presence. There were already rumors in the higher levels that it was likely she would replace the chief elder and become the next leader of the Council of Elders. Her intelligence had won the praise of the great majority of elders. No one in her generation could compare to her. Speaking of this, I have just become interested with Xiao Yunhai today, Feng Xinz said solemnly. Oh, how is this person? Mingyu Yes' beautiful eyes flashed in interest. I cannot see through him, Feng Xinz said with a smile. Li Yu was rejected by him. However, what was really surprising today was the girl from the Blue Flower family. Blue Flower family? I remember she is called Qinghua Shui. Mingyu Yi had an eidetic memory and quickly found a match after some thought. Yes, her. I really felt ashamed, even I made a wrong judgment regarding her. This female is secretive, and her Blue Flower, is definitely the strongest of the younger generation of the Blue Flower family. I speculate that the Blue Flower family also have not realized her potential. Otherwise, they definitely would not have sent her on this trip. Feng Xinz had an expression of self-mockery. I was the one who failed to fulfill my duties and did not discover this before. Ming Yuyi honestly admitted her mistake. Who could have thought of this? She was hidden very well. If it wasn't that she fought today, I wouldn't have seen it. Feng Xinz hurriedly said, this female is daring and careful, calm and composed. However, she seems to have good feelings towards Xiao Yunhai and tried to do all she could to get near him. I had her follow Xiao Yunhai for now. This may be a blessing in disguise. You need to pay more attention to Xiao Yunhai. To suspect that Tang Chen may also know that Xiao Yunhai is the best way to find Xiao Mo Gu, Ming Yuyi warned. Your safety is first, do not pursue Xiao Mo Gu too hard. The Mo Shen Temple has given UPS great inspiration. We have some hints of understanding Shen power. When you return, there should be results. Feng Xinz's heart warmed, but it was overtaken by joy. Congratulations, Darren. He knew that Ming Yuyi had an extremely secretive team of powerful elders who did not care for politics. The goal of this small team was to solve the mysteries of Shen power. It seemed now that there were tangible developments. This was a deed that no one could shake. Ming Yuyi, who now had the mysteries of Shen power, had another strong bargaining chip on her side. This greatly increased the chance of her coming to power. Feng Xinz decided inside that even if he had to kidnap Xiao Mo Gu and bring him back to the Yao, he would do it. As though she could read Feng Xinz's mind, Ming Yuyi said with a smile, do not feel urgent, the situation is very advantageous to us. The Mo Shen Temple is powerful, but their cultivation method has flaws. Ah! Feng Xinz was shocked, but then he had a realization. I was wondering why they didn't take the chance to expand after killing the elders of Xian Kong Temple. So it is because their cultivation method has flaws. No wonder. Ming Yuyi's eyes flashed. She was like the crescent moon in the sky whose light caused the surrounding stars to lose color. Our cultivation method will not have this kind of flaw. Ming Yuyi's voice was filled with unquestionable confidence. We have time. Li Xian'er's expression was filled with shock. The paper crane in her hand seemed to burn her hand. A long time later, her shock slowly faded. She recovered her usual calm. A thread of fire came out of her hand and swallowed the paper crane. Watching as the paper crane in her hand turned to ash, Li Xian'er's mind was not as calm as her expression. It was just that the news that paper crane had delivered was too astonishing. Kunlun had already mastered Shen power. This was a great blow to her. When Xiao Mo Gu had used Shen power, everyone had marveled as spectators. However, when the Mo gods had massacred the elder core of Xian Kong Temple, people were shocked, and also realized a new era had arrived. But when she learned that Kunlun had already obtained Shen power, Li Xian'er felt as though there was a sword pointed at her back. She could clearly feel the cold bite. Only 3 of Tianhuan's Shen glyphs had been solved. The stable equilibrium of the 4 realms had turned to only Kunlun and Tianhuan with the collapse of Xian Kong Temple and the decline of Xixian. Always in history, an equilibrium could only be reached with 3 factions or more. If there were 2 factions, there was only one result, one would eventually swallow the other. What was terrible was that Kunlun was 1 step ahead. Grandpa's paper crane had been full of worry. He told her to do all she could to find a complete Shen power inheritance. Tianhuan was retreating on almost all fronts, all of their power put into the comprehension of Shen scripts. Shen power inheritance. Li Xian'er took a deep breath. Her mind was filled with these 3 words. The first thing she thought about was Xiao Mo Gu. She did not dare to provoke the Mo Shen Temple. They had easily killed the elite of Xian Kong Temple, and they would be able to do the same to Tianhuan. Up until now, the 3 people that everyone knew who had Shen power inheritances were all related to Xiao Mo Gu. Where did this damned Xiao Mo Gu run to? Zhuo Mo hid under the eaves and watched Li Xian'er in her room. His mind became alert. The other was a Xiuzha. While he had felt that the other's presence was one that he had once knew, he had never thought the other was a Xiuzha. It had to be said that Li Xian'er's disguise was very good. Because Zhuo Mo had not even thought about the possibility of Xiuzha, he hadn't detected her at all. However, the flame in Li Xian'er's hand had revealed her identity. Tianhuan. Zhuo Mo was even more puzzled. Had he had some entanglement with Tianhuan before his memories had been erased and his appearance changed? Zhuo Mo shook his head. He felt that this was not as likely as Tianhuan using some secret method to spy on him. He and Tianhuan had been on bad terms for a long time. Maybe this girl had been hidden in some corner as an observer during his conflict against Tianhuan. That fight in the Sunshin Temple had been so chaotic that Zhuo Mo wasn't sure if this girl had been present. If she was, then this feeling of familiarity could be explained. Li Xian'er's face was disguised and Zhuo Mo could not see her true face. This seemed to make his speculation more likely. Zhuo Mo did not stay and left silently. He carefully avoided the defenses and did not cause any trouble. He only sighed when he returned to his room. He had used everything he had recently learned in his sneaking just now, spells, Mo skills, and Yao arts. All of them had been techniques in concealment. The effects were unimaginably good. Even Qinghua Shui outside the door hadn't detected anything. How come people from Tianhuan were together with Gong Zishi? Zhuo Mo did not believe this was a coincidence at all. Was it? A daring idea rose out of his mind. The two were going to ally together. Once this idea came out, Zhuo Mo was almost certain he was right. Marshal Di did qualify to ally with Tianhuan. This woman probably wasn't a normal Tianhuan disciple. Thinking about the feud he had with Tianhuan, Zhuo Mo smirked coldly inside. How could he pass on such a good chance to con Tianhuan? Chapter 706, The Mysterious Old Man. Put this matter to the side, Tang Qin said coolly after listening to the guard head's report. Patriarch. The guard leader could not stop himself from saying. Head's expression was indifferent as though this matter had nothing to do with him. Tang Qin glanced at his subordinate and said casually, after this is over, it is all right for you to kill everyone in the market, but before this, no one is allowed to offend Xiao Yunhai. Remember, no one. The guard leader's heart shook. Patriarch was an authoritative person, but he never spoke gravely. However, his authority was unquestionable. It was the first time he had such a harsh expression. The guard leader was both shocked and scared. There was also a thread of relief. It was fortunate that he had been the one hit. Otherwise, his head. Leave, Tang Qin said. Yes. The guard leader shrunk his head and retreated. When there were only two people left in the room, Tang Qin spoke with a frown. How did the Yao envoys get involved? Head shook his head and said gravely, it does not seem intentional. Unintentional? Tang Qin thought for a moment before saying, we cannot be careless. It is a pity that we were not able to discover the strength of Xiao Yunhai's mute servant. Unfathomable. A look flashed through Head's eyes. He wasn't able to fight back at all. If the guard leader was here, he would be gaping in shock. When he had been thrown out by a Gue, Head hadn't just been passing by in coincidence, but had seen the entire process. Were you able to discover their origins? Tang Qin asked, is she similar to one of the two women with Xiao Mo Gu? I could not see it. Head said, she is similar in style to the purple energy woman with Xiao Mo Gu, but she does not have purple energies. Also. He stopped. Also what? Tang Chen's eyes flashed as he asked urgently. The feeling she gives me is even more dangerous. When Head said this, he unconsciously balled his fists, tendons bulging. Tang Chen's expression changed. Head was his faithful and strongest expert. What Tang Chen trusted the most was his strength. Head cultivated the something from nothing spear, a top spear type Mo skill. If it wasn't for the chance encounter where Tang Chen had saved Head's life, he definitely would not have been able to recruit such an expert. Head's strength could rival those top experts that had just risen to martial level. He was one of the trump cards in his hand. Tang Chen had deliberately arranged what had happened today. He was still full of suspicion about Xiao Yunhai's identity, but he hadn't expected the conclusion they reached to be so surprising. Head looked like a rough man, but being capable of cultivating the something from nothingness spear meant his intuition was unusually sharp. If he said it was more dangerous, there was only one cause. The mute servant of Xiao Yunhai was even stronger than the Xiao Mo guess purple energy female. That wasn't possible. All of the Mo territories knew that Xiao Mo guess purple energy woman cultivated Shin power. A daring idea suddenly rose in Tang Chen's mind. Did Xiao Yunhai's mute servant also cultivate Shin power? He shook his head. Shin power was not so easy to obtain. He changed the subject. Have you found the use of the White Ridge snake bones? The White Ridge snake bones can be used to forge Mo weapons. That's not right. Tang Chen shook his head. Xiao Yunhai's other female servant has been in seclusion ever since they obtained the White Ridge snake bones. The news we found from Rare Artifacts Hall was that Xiao Yunhai only decided to buy the White Ridge snake bones because of this female servant in seclusion. The White Ridge snake bones definitely has an unknown use and is related to the seclusion of his female servant. Keep investigating. In the void, Ague sat silently. The purple chains passed through her body. These purple chains were much thicker than the last time that had Zui Mo saw them, and the light had become more understated. Exquisite black patterns had grown on the chains that were closest to her. Her eyes were closed, and there was a serene and content smile on her face. The nether reincarnation lotus was extraordinary in effect. Her soul had not withered and grown even more condensed. In this last while, she had continued to use her soul to nurture the undying Shin power. The undying Shin power was even stronger than before, and had changed as a result. The most visible effect was that the energy was not bright, and was now contained inside. The stronger undying Shin power restrained her even more completely. There was no light, no sound, no smell in this void of nothingness. This hopeless and insane void did not defeat this seemingly fragile young female. Since the time that her soul received nurturing, she knew that it was definitely young master that had helped her. Her serene heart had told her long ago that she was with young master. But the dots of light in the void made her suddenly realize she wasn't just with young master. Young master was working hard to save her. There was nothing that would motivate this young female more than this. Ever since then, there was always a warm sunny smile on her face. Maybe young master could see her. She wanted to use her smile to tell young master it wasn't painful at all, wasn't uncomfortable at all. Every bit of pain was the growth of Shin power. Shin power growing stronger meant she was able to protect young master. She was very happy. Under the bright smile, something was imperceptibly taking form inside her soul. Aheng woke up from his meditation and his restless heart finally stilled. Just as he had expected, the Tang family had a close relationship with Marshal D. Every time he requested to meet with Tang Chen, the servants would politely tell him the patriarch was busy and not present. Aheng understood what this meant. Before this, while Tang Chen had been ambiguous about an alliance, he had been polite to the Ji family. But his attitude was clear now. Aheng knew the alliance would not occur. The new orders from his family patriarch also came to him. There were two orders: damage the alliance between the Tang family and Marshal D, assassinate Xiao Yunhai but do not let the Tang family suspect the Ji family. Looking at the orders from the patriarch, Aheng grimaced. Any of the two was almost impossible to complete. The Tang family and Marshal D probably had allied together a long time ago, but people just didn't know about it. It also wasn't simple to kill Xiao Yunhai. The fight that had occurred at the market during the day had reached his ears a long time ago. Xiao Yunhai's mute servant's strength was unfathomable, and an extremely powerful young female Yao had also came out along the way. She had been able to fight to a tie with the head guard of the Tang family, her strength. Where female sidekicks starting come into style in the world. Xiao Mo Gu was like that, Xiao Yunhai was the same, but had even more, 3 of them. Suddenly, Aheng's mind moved. His expression darkened. Who? Before he finished speaking, his figure slowly became faint. At the same time, Aheng appeared outside his room. There was a paper gripped in his hand. His face was dark. Even now, his afterimage in the room had not disappeared. So fast. Aheng was astounded. From discovery to attack, the other had disappeared without a trace. He understood that the only reason he had sensed the intruder was that deliberate on the other's part. This thought caused his bones to shiver. This also meant that if the other tried to sneak an attack on him, he probably would not be able to avoid it. The person was incomprehensibly strong. Also, what did the other want? He looked in puzzlement at the paper and a joyful light quickly came into his eyes. Tian Huan. He hadn't thought that there would be disciples from Tian Huan in Gongzi Zai's group. He hadn't thought that Marshal D had a secret relationship with Tian Huan. Aheng almost wanted to roar with laughter. Ever since Xiao Mo Gu appeared, the general trend of events suggested that the Yao, Mo, and Xiao were merging together. Xiao Mo Gu was a Mo, and no one thought there was anything wrong for him to have Xiuzha under his command. They would feel proud that Xiao Mo Gu were able to conquer Xiuzha. Some of the wiser factions could see that the merging of the 3 would be unstoppable, but among the people, this was not common. The hatred between Yama and Xiuzha would not be resolved so easily. In Aheng's view, the alliance of Marshal D and Tian Huan was a great move. But things like this could not be made public. Everyone could only have unspoken agreements in secret. Otherwise, when people discovered this, just the spit was enough to drown Marshal D. A cruel smile floated onto Aheng's lips. What he held in his hand was a fatal weapon. Zuo in disguise felt proud as he sneaked through the darkness. The Ji family wasn't a good one, but they had the power to make things difficult for Tian Huan. Even if they used just their toes, Zuo knew that the Ji family could destroy the alliance with what they had now. Let the dogs fight themselves. Zuo lacked good feelings about these people. After doing this devious thing, Zuo felt unspeakably comfortable. In such a good state, forging Mo weapons would be easy. At this time, Zuo suddenly stilled and his smugness disappeared. He was like a wild beast that felt danger and immediately entered his battle state. In the corner of the street, a figure slowly appeared. Your wariness isn't bad. The incomer praised. His figure was revealed in front of Zuo. An old man dressed in rags like a homeless man. His face was heavily wrinkled, his eyes muddy, and he had no presence. But Zuo did not dare to underestimate the other. The old man stood there casually, but he seemed to be one with the darkness around him. Zuo had never seen such a synchrony from other people, even in those so-called concealment experts. Who are you? Zuo asked. The old man looked with interest in Zuo. He grinned. You can call me old man, then he said in a familiar tone, your disguise isn't bad. Oh, your Sun Shen power isn't bad. You really have good luck to have obtained the inheritance from the Sun Shen tribe. Not bad at all. Who are you? Zuo was astounded. The other clearly knew that he was Xiao Mo Gu, and even discovered the Shen power he cultivated with a glance. The old man grinned to show a mouth of yellowed and missing teeth. Ha, young person, you have to be patient. Where's your maid? The murderousness in Zuo's eyes were as sharp as swords. Chapter 707, Mysteries, Don't Be So Fierce. The old man seemed to not be affected by Zuo's killing intent at all. The wave of killing intent rushed at him and then would quickly dissipate. Zhuo Mo's gaze focused and his heart shook. The old man suddenly seemed to detect something and threw out, "You have to be careful, many people have their eyes on you." In the next moment, his figure disappeared. Zhuo Mo stilled, but his expression changed slightly. At this time, he found that someone was coming close. This old man was really strong. He thought back to what the old man had just said. The other didn't seem to have malicious intent. As he thought, he silently left. He had scouted out the nearby area a few times before entering and was familiar with it. Pu Yao and Wei's specialized cultivation was clearly effective. Even though Zhuo Mo was not a master at moving under concealment, he didn't have problems fooling average experts. When he returned to his residence, he was still thinking about that old man. Such a strong old man definitely wasn't someone unknown figure. Yet what shocked Zhuo Mo was that he didn't even know what power the old man cultivated. What did the old man mean in his words? Many people had their eyes on him. This was clearly a reminder. Had he exposed himself somehow? Zhuo Mo shook his head. While he did not know the old man's intentions, the other's reminder did not seem to be baseless. The old man said, "Many people." That meant more than one. Why were those people keeping an eye on him? Earth MO weapons? This was the most likely guess. Earth MO weapons were the top MO weapon in the present MO territories, and there were naturally numerous people that wanted them. But Zhuo Mo, who had struggled on the border of life and death, had an unusually sensitive sense for danger. This most plausible cause was rejected first. Other than the Earth MO weapons, what could most likely attract attention was his identity as Shao Mo Gu and the Shen power inheritance. If other people knew this, then it would be trouble. Zhuo Mo's brow furrowed, and then he put the problem to one side. He would not panic just because of some words from a strange old man. What he needed to do now was to forge a new Earth MO weapon. It was not an accidental idea when he thought of using Earth MO weapons to trade for the reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. But now, he felt that this plan was far easier to realize than going to Nether Spring Jie himself. He was not an unknown person. No matter if it was Shao Mo Gu or Shao Yunhai, both had status. If he could make a new Earth MO weapon, there would be countless people that would search for reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. The Earth MO weapon that was peerless in value in the eyes of many people was just an object to Zhuo Mo. It was profitable to trade it for reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. If he, who had just forged the Sky Snake 10 Manifestation Spear, could forge a new Earth MO weapon, his fame would reach an unprecedented height. At that time, his promise would be enough to drive people mad. After organizing his thoughts, the shadow over Zhuo Mo's mind dissipated. Regardless if it was the old man or other people, his goal was the reverse Shadow Soul Silkgrass. Other matters had nothing to do with him. He did not fear people finding him. In the dark of night, Tsing Lianer was dressed in bright red robes like a rose blooming in the night. Her movements were silent, and she didn't even cause a ripple in the air as she appeared like a ghost in front of Qinghua Shui. "Who are you? Why are you here?" Tsing Lianer, who saw Qinghua Shui, and asked serenely. Qinghua Shui felt her vision blur, and then a figure appeared without warning in front of her. Her expression changed slightly. She was astounded but kept her expression calm. She asked back, "Who are you?" Tsing Lianer's eyes became blurry like a mist that floated in. "Come in to talk." Zhuo Mo's voice suddenly came from the room. Tsing Lianer's figure immediately disappeared from her spot. Shock finally came onto Qinghua Shui's face. "This is Qinghua Shui, I defeated her in the past. She was in the Yao envoy and she recognized me, so I decided to have her follow me to prevent her from going out and talking," Zhuo Mo explained. Other people would not know, but he was clear that Tsing Lianer really intended to kill her just now. If he had been a moment later in speaking, Qinghua Shui would probably be a corpse right now. "I would not squabble with a little girl." An imperceptible smile flashed across Tsing Lianer's mouth. She spun, the long red dress blossoming as she elegantly sat in front of Zhuo Mo. Tsing Lianer was elegant and graceful in everything she did, as though it was innate to her. A country bumpkin like himself could not copy it. Zhuo shook his head and threw this hilarious thought away. He then asked in concern, "How is it?" "Success," Tsing Lianer said without any modesty. Her smile was like a flower, bright and eye-catching. "My bloodline has been perfected, and this would be of great benefit to my future cultivation. My Shen power has grown by half." Zhuo Mo's expression changed. For Mo, their bloodline was the core of their power, and the spring of all their power. Reinforcing their core was tempting for every cultivator, and Zhuo gaped at her Shen power growing by half. Even with his right hand that seemed to be a little Shen crystal, he would need about a year to grow half of his Shen power without any other assistance. Worth. So worth it. Zhuo couldn't help but say excitedly. Tsing Lianer gave a small smile. Her eyes that seemed to forever be shrouded in mist flashed with emotion. Of course it was worth it. But what had been traded was an Earth Mo weapon. When she had heard that it would take an Earth Mo weapon, Tsing Lianer had given up on that set of White Ridge snake bones. That price was not something that she could afford. Even her father Tsing Yi, who was a Jie master, would not be able to pay such a price. The person in front of her did not hesitate. This had nothing to do with love between man and woman. She suddenly understood why there would always be astounding geniuses gathered around Zhuo Mo Wei Sheng, Gongsun Cha, Bi Han. Any of these people alone was a star, a blinding existence, but these outstanding geniuses were gathered closely around Zhuo Mo. And for him, they were willing to die. Zhuo Mo did not notice Tsing Lianer's emotions. It was hard to disguise the joy on his face. "Great! You have come out of seclusion so I can rest my worries and forge Earth Mo weapons." Forge Earth Mo weapons? Tsing Lianer had been in seclusion ever since she had gotten the White Ridge snake bones. She didn't know anything about what had happened. When she heard that Zhuo Mo said he was going to forge Earth Mo weapons again, she couldn't help but be shocked. "Yes." Zhuo Mo nodded. He grinned and said, "I thought of a wonderful idea. Use Earth Mo weapons to trade for reverse shadow soul silkgrass. This way, we don't have to go to Nether Springs Jie. Trade Earth Mo weapons for reverse shadow soul silkgrass." Tsing Lianer was stunned. She suspected that something was wrong with her hearing. "Do we have other Earth Mo weapons?" Looking at the shock on Tsing Lianer's face, Zhuo Mo was proud. He said with a snicker, "We can make more." Tsing Lianer was speechless. A moment later, her mouth turned into a smile. Zhuo Mo's tone was casual when he spoke about forging Earth Mo weapons. While she was shocked, she did not doubt that Zhuo Mo could accomplish this. Her gaze silently landed on Agui. For some reason, a serene sigh sounded inside her, like a wisp of mist rising up and covering her eyes. "When are you going to start?" She smiled. "Since you are out of seclusion, then there is no time today." Zhuo Mo's smile disappeared. His expression was solemn as he said, "Tomorrow. I'm very disappointed that the brutish bull didn't dare to fight me last time I visited." The old man grinned, his gaping mouth full of yellow teeth hard to look at. An youth appeared nearby, his tight clothing emphasizing the tall figure of the youth. He was lying in the air as though there was an invisible chair behind him. Half of his body was curled up in this invisible chair and his position looked strange. One hand was holding a plate piled high with blood grapes. The other hand was throwing blood grapes idly into his mouth. "I wouldn't dare to fight Elder. I have come to eat and play." The youth said through a full mouth. However, second brother failed since Elder protected Xiao Mo Ge last time. This time, you seem to be interested in Xiao Yunhai. "Elder, leave us a path." "Xiao Yunhai. Haven't you come for Xiao Mo Ge?"